all the way up the street with your head buried in the phone. All the way up the street.
No, it was not.
Okay.
You know what? Your damn day, do ya?
I don't want to be killed by you, ma'am.
I'll take your picture in case you bring me to the ground with police brutality.
I need your license, your registration, and insurance. Can you please put your feet in and close the door?
Why?
Because it's for my safety and your safety.
Well,
I'm watching you drive all the way up the street with your head buried in the phone.
Nothing else to do in your damn day, do ya?
I don't want to be killed by you, ma'am. Can you please put your feet in and close the door?
Why?
Because it's for my safety and your safety.
Is this part of the law, a part of getting pulled over?
I'll tell you what.
Is it? I'm just asking because you're being pretty forceful about it, and I would like to know. Is this illegal to have my door open?
It depends on my feeling of the safety, and you've been very aggressive for absolutely no reason.
Come on, bro.
You have a small. I'm not your bro. Okay.
Well, I don't care. I'm gonna call you what I want.
Your small child is dependent on you. You're endangering all our lives.
Butterfingers, making us all unsafe on the road. Are you gonna stop the traffic so I can take a left out of here?
Not a chance.
You know,
have a great day,
you
ma'am.
know my daughter just had an accident.
At least she's alive today because of me. Your Honor, I'm a douchebag.
Can I see your driver's license?
Yes, you can, sir. Can I get my life?
Yeah. You been drinking any alcohol today?
No. For them.
What's that?
Election.
What's this?
That's my bank card.
Why you give me a bank card? What did I ask for?
My license.
Yeah. You see my concern? My other concern is you're 80 back there behind me. And then when you got to my cruiser, you sped up to 95 miles an hour. And I almost had you at 100. Okay, this is pretty simple, straightforward, okay? I'm going to ask you to say your alphabet.
Okay.
Okay, but you're going to start with the letter E as in Edward.
E?
E as in Edward, okay? And you're going to stop on the P as in Paul. E to P.
Okay. E, F, J, K, I, K, L, M, P.
E, F. Can I see your driver's license?
Yes, you can, sir.
What's this?
That's my bank card.
Why you give me a bank card? You sure you haven't had no alcohol? Any drugs that would make you give me a bank card? Where you live at, sir?
Hilliard.
And you always go to 161 to Hilliard?
Not to Hilliard, to where my house is, Granville.
I thought you said you lived in Hilliard.
I do.
Okay, you understand my concern right now? My other concern is you're 80 back there. Then when you got to my cruiser, you sped up to 95 miles an hour.
I get that.
And I'm going to ask you to step out of the car here for a minute, okay? I'm going to ask you to say your alphabet. Start with the letter E as in Edward, and you're going to stop on the P as in Paul.
E, F, J, K, I, K, L, M, P.
You know your alphabet, right? Those were not in the same order, just so you know that, okay?
Yeah.
Okay, how about start with the number 68 and count backwards and stop on 53.
68, 67, 66, 65, 64, 63, 62, 60, 60, 59, 54, 58, 56, 55, 54, 51, 60, 69, 68, 67.
What did I ask you to stop on?
66.
I asked you to stop on 53. And you haven't had nothing to drink?
Yes, sir.
Yes, what does that mean? You haven't had anything or you have had something to
I
drink?
have not.
Okay. You know why I asked you that? Because I can smell it on your breath.
Are you pulling me over because I'm blocking traffic?
Yeah, sure. I'll go ahead and pull you over then. I'll have you pull into the.
I didn't mean that.
I'll have you pull over into the BP lot, okay?
I didn't mean that.
Hang tight.
May I ask what else you're pulling me over for?
Nothing, ma'am.
Okay, so then am I getting a citation?
Yes, ma'am.
Under Ohio State law, you can only pull me over for texting if there's another offense and give me a ticket.
Well, I've done this 20 years, and you're wrong. In the city.
I just looked up it.
Well,
Except for the city of Dublin.
You need to look up the city of Columbus, ma'am. This is the code I'm going to actually give you. It's 2131.44B.
Okay.
I'm actually going to give you a copy of the law today.
Great.
It is primary offense.
Just so you know, also walking up to a woman's car, you should have pulled me over. You're lucky I didn't have my pepper spray on me because you scared the ever-living shit out of me as a
you
woman.
would not, if you weren't going through emails,
Sir,
you would probably be more observant.
I'm not trying to be an asshole. I'm telling you, as a woman, I'm actually shaking right now because you scared the ever-living shit out of me.
Well, I've made over 7,000 traffic stops, and I've never been pepper sprayed.
But I understand that, sir. But I'm telling you, as a woman, you made me feel unsafe.
Okay, I'm a public safety official,
I
ma'am.
understand that, but please listen to what I am saying, because you're not listening, because you're seeing this through the eyes of me trying to get out of a ticket, which I'm not.
Oh, you won't get
I'm
out of it, yeah.
Sir,
I can assure you of that.
Sir, can I please finish my sentence?
Go ahead.
As a public employee, I am letting you know, as somebody who is a person who pays your salary.
Get your driver's license and insurance card, please.
Under Ohio State law, you can only pull me over for testing if there is another offense and give me a ticket.
Well, I've done this 20 years, and you're wrong.
Just so you know, also walking up to a woman's car, you're lucky I didn't have my pepper spray on me because you scared the ever-living shit out of me as a woman.
If you weren't going through emails,
Sir,
you would probably be
I'm
more
not
observant.
trying
I've made over 7,000 traffic
Sir,
stops,
I
and I've never been
understand that.
pepper sprayed.
I understand that, sir, but I'm telling you, as a woman, you made me feel unsafe.
I'm a public safety
I
official, ma'am.
understand that. You're not listening because you're seeing this through the eyes of me trying to get out of a ticket, which I'm not. I am letting you know, as somebody who pays your salary.
No, I'm no longer going to listen to you.
Sir,
We're
I'm
done.
trying to tell you
We are
so that
done.
you can do your job better.
I've done my job
I would've-
20 years, and I'm
I
protecting
get
the
that.
public from you reading your emails while you drive your car.
My husband's car,
Okay.
and he does have insurance.
All right.
You have a driver's license. Why you're pulling me over, officer?
Why?
Yes.
You don't have any idea?
No, sir.
You came up behind me at 101 mile an hour.
I was only doing 60.
You were not only doing 60, you were flying 101 mile an hour. Why is that?
Well, this speedometer may be broken, but I did say I
Okay,
was doing 60.
you were
miles an
passing
hour.
cars like they were sitting still.
I apologize. I never speed. One, because I'm a mother, and this speedometer.
There is no way that you didn't know you were speeding.
Well, my speedometer.
Well, even if your speedometer is broken and stuck at 60,
You hear how loud this car is?
there is no way that you could tell that you're not going so much faster than everybody else.
I really actually wasn't, because I just got on that 17.
But you were. You
Okay,
came up
well,
behind me at 101 mile an hour.
I was only doing 60.
You were not only doing 60, you were flying.
Well, this speedometer may be broken, but I did say I
Okay,
was doing 60.
you were
miles an
passing
hour.
cars like they were sitting still. There is no way that you didn't know you were speeding. You're lucky I'm not taking you to jail and impounding the vehicle for reckless operation.
Honestly speaking,
Uh-huh.
I would never speed that high.
You have 2 prior speeding tickets.
I know, but hold on, let me tell you this, just so you can hear me out.
Okay.
I would never be speeding at 101.
Now, speaking honestly on my part,
Okay?
okay? I looked in the rearview mirror and I saw you coming like a rocket ship.
It was not purposely or intendedly to be done.
Okay,
So we
that's
have an
fine.
understanding, is right?
That's your statement.
You have an understanding. Is
Do
right?
I believe that? No, I don't. I'm sorry. Okay.
Have a nice day.
All right. Slow down, please. Drive safely.
What you're being cited with today is unauthorized use of a communication device, better
really
known
need
as
the rundown,
texting.
dude. That was a dick move. Like, you come up to the window, like, with your ego. I've seen your videos.
Is this thing on?
I've seen your videos. Like, oh,
I just have to say, it was amazing watching you pull down your mic like you were a professional. It was really cool. I'm a little jealous that I have such a shitty setup.
Did I do it live, or was it just the video that only you could see?
I think it was the one I could only see.
Okay. I try to I try to like psych myself up for this stuff. You know, like I gotta pretend I'm a professional because I'm not.
Yeah,
Right.
I felt like I was getting a little more comfortable doing these, and we took like 2 weeks off. I don't think I've been in the basement working in like weeks, and this is a pretty heavy one to come back to. So
It is.
and I'm gotta do it sober. So
Oh, you know, I was gonna suggest that you can drink during podcasting, and this counts. I don't know.
I feel like I'm gonna try it a month. We'll see.
Okay.
Or I'll be wasted next week. We'll see.
Well, and if we cover the main topic first, I'll be sober for that, and I'm probably gonna pour a drink afterwards. I think I'm gonna need it. Oh, how's it going, man? I haven't talked to you for a minute.
Can
I make this bigger?
That's what she said.
She can if she knows what to do.
Apparently, I got a little weird dot in my camera, so that's a little awkward.
That's all right. It's like a light flare.
Poorly made, so it's fine. I
Totally
can get
fine.
away with it. You? No. Me? Absolutely. So no, it's I had a good little break. Went to Colorado. I saw somebody in here asked if I was back, which I am back. And then if I got to meet with our good friend Saul, and I did. We went to Waffle House. It was nice.
You guys weren't the ones that started that big fight in the Waffle House, were you? Did you see that?
It was. We started it and just
you slipped out right before it
back.
went madness.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, have you weighed yourself after Christmas?
I actually started The Biggest Loser, which was good. Good timing. Some people on my old apartment were like, "Hey, we're doing a Biggest Loser. You want to do it?" And I was like, "Oh, I guess I'm fat, so yeah, I probably should." So
Did you start before or after Christmas?
Just right after. Right
Okay.
after.
So did you weigh yourself before Christmas and after? That's kind of what I was getting at.
Oh, no, not really. I weighed myself after though. It was a disaster for sure.
Oh, I gained 7 pounds during Christmas. That's a lot of cookies and prime rib, and it was bad. But
we should normalize eating prime rib more times of the year because prime rib is the best.
it's also really not cheap.
Okay.
Well,
we better get rich then.
Yes. Should we? I wish I could put a thing like our prime rib fund. That would be good. And it was super cold here. I mean, Ohio is not warm in the winter, generally speaking, but it was like negative 27 degrees for Christmas this year, which meant my smoker didn't work, and I had to cook my prime rib in the oven. But there could be worse things.
Could be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know, but yeah. So I gained 7 pounds over Christmas, and I've been trying to get my workout regime back like dialed in. And did I tell you about this like stationary bike thing?
No.
Yeah. So I bought this fancy stationary bike. It's a smart bike, and
is it a Peloton?
It's not a Peloton. It's actually better.
You poor. I don't have one either, but
actually, well, I'm not going to talk about the money. It was like a Christmas present to my wife and me, like combined, because we share it. So it was actually more than a Peloton, but you connect it to this program called Zwift, and like when you ride uphill, it makes the pedals harder to pedal. When you're going downhill, it's like easier. So it's cool. You can climb mountains, and I've been doing 2-hour rides a night. There's a lot of pedaling. That's the moral of the story. And the first night, when I stopped eating garbage and I started sweating on the bike, I lost 5 pounds in that day. That's how fat I got over Christmas. Do I look fat? You know, I intentionally wear dark shirts.
Hold on. I got a 90s reference here, kids. You look PHAT, pretty hot and tempting.
That was not a 90s reference.
Yeah, it is.
No, that was early 2000s. That was like from like White Girls or something.
90s. All day.
What movie was it? It was a Wayans Brothers movie.
I don't know. 90s. I remember it in the 90s, so I'm saying 90s.
No, you weren't old enough in the 90s.
Yes, I was.
Did you have a
90s
job?
were the best. Leave me alone.
I remember the 90s. Kind of. I graduated high school in the 90s.
Boomer.
Yeah, it is what it is. I was kind of surprised how many people were waiting before I started the stream. You guys are awesome. There's a lot of normal names. There was a couple that Brent believes it was Hot Chick. What year was the Hot Chick?
You want me to Google it?
I'm going to Google it myself.
You don't trust my Googling?
Let's see who can Google faster.
2002.
I told you it's not the 90s.
Yeah. Did that really come out of a Rob Snyder movie, though?
I don't know. The picture I'm going to share. Here, wait.
Make sure you take down the Pornhub thing first, and then.
Oh, stop it! That's on different browsers, so I don't get them confused. Let me share screen. Which one am I going to share? This is poorly made as well. This picture right here. That's like the best. I don't think I've seen that movie.
I don't think I have. I've seen like the South Park where they make fun of Rob Snyder because he plays all these weird characters, and they're like, Rob Snyder is the stapler, you know, because he was the animal, you know, that was one. Yeah,
he's an oddball. At work, we had a guy. He doesn't work with me anymore. He took a different job in the department, but he would eat lunch every day at 11 o'clock, regardless, and he controlled the TV when he got there. I don't know how the TV at work works. Like literally, I'll grab the remote and I'll press buttons on it and nothing happens. But for some reason, when he was there, it worked. So now that he's gone, the TV is stuck on ESPN 24 hours a day. But when he was there, there was some channel that had like South Park marathons almost every day, but probably Comedy Central. And so we watched. That's where I caught up on my South Park. It was a glorious thing. Are you? I had this idea in my head that we were going to make small talk for like 30 minutes before we got into the Ben Darby situation.
I think you're just avoiding the inevitable.
I am. It's interesting when I posted that we're going to be covering this. I don't get a lot of comments on like the announcement videos, but one guy was just like, "Oh, they murdered him," blah blah blah. As I felt like he was like prematurely arguing with us on it, and I had a couple other people that were like, you know, that didn't look good. I'm interested in your explanation. And I don't know if I should preface this or not, but I kind of want to. It's just like,
I kind of wish we talked about this before, because I kind of thought the same thing. Is maybe we should start from the end and then work the way up to the beginning, because I honestly think our opinion is pretty similar, and I think our opinion differs from a lot of cops. I think we're kind of in the minority. I could be wrong, though. I know other social media people have talked about this case way before us, and they've had different opinions on it than we have.
Yeah, and I don't know why. Like, one of my first thoughts is I think that when people hear that police officers are going to go over body camera of an officer-involved shooting, they immediately think that we're going to defend the cop. That's not going to happen today. We're going to, let me know if I misspeak, but I think what we're going to do is walk through the shooting, what we think should have happened. And we're also going to address, his explanation for why he did what he did, at least to the best of my recollection. Does that sound accurate?
Yeah, and I guess I wanted to throw in a little preamble here too. Is we've kind of talked about this in prior live streams. Is we're sitting back here with the benefit of hindsight, right? You know, years later, we're gonna watch this video. It's like a 4-minute video, and we're gonna talk about it probably for an hour or two. So it's always kind of unfair to an extent. But with that said, I think, you know, reasonably based on our experience, and I don't know everything. I know you claim to know everything. I know you don't either. That, you know, we can kind of look at this based on our experience as cops in larger cities and say, hey, this is what we think on this. But I just want to throw out there too that my hope for this in all of this is not necessarily to sling mud, but hopefully to be educational on either side of things.
Yeah.
That's
what's that?
I said, that's just me though.
Yeah. Well, and I had one of my overarching kind of thoughts of this video and how to present the video, because I try to also think of how civilians review our footage and stuff like that, and a lot of the commentary going on about police right now. And I think that this is a good example of classroom training versus real world expertise. We can address that when we get there, and maybe people understand, but there's certain things that you're taught by the book, and one of them with like deadly force, and that's what this situation is. But there's always a little bit of fuzziness around them. You know, it's not like hard edges. Like if this happens, then this happens, then this happens. And I think that was the main problem that Darby had in this situation.
Well,
we can get into that.
Yeah, and at some point we probably need to discuss, and it could be different because I know it's different, nationwide, is how we handled, because the call was a suicidal party, and how I was taught to handle that type of call and how you were taught to handle that type of call could add context to it, because I have heard arguments for handling it completely different than the way I was trained. Me personally trained in different departments, so there's that aspect of it too.
Yeah, and I think just to set the stage, I'm assuming that most of the people that are here have either seen the video or took time to look it up when they saw that we were going to be covering it today, so they know a little bit about it, or they at least saw. I saw some people commenting that they weren't aware of it, but then they watched the video and they were appalled. But this was, I believe, it was April the 3rd, 2018, in Huntsville, Alabama. What was the guy's name? I wrote it down. Jeffrey Parker called 911 saying that he was suicidal and planned on shooting himself. They dispatched, I don't know if it was a 2-officer car or 2 1-officer cars. It doesn't really matter. 2 officers went to the run, or the call, which is very common for this kind of call. Darby, I believe, was on paperwork somewhere, heard the call go out, and thought that he needed to go and help these 2 officers deal with this call, because also a suicidal person with a gun potentially could be a very dangerous call. There's multiple instances through history where the person that is suicidal is intent on making sure that they get shot that day. And often if police officers don't show up and just shoot them, they will point the gun at the cops, maybe even shoot at the police officers. Anytime a police officer is being shot at, there's risk that they're actually going to get hit. So it's dangerous. So you need as many officers on scene as possible. And I think that was his intent when he responded to this call. Did I miss anything?
No, and I, from that, I don't have an issue with that. I actually commend that, is adding yourself to that call to help out. I don't think is a problem.
Yeah. And then before we get going, because I don't want to interrupt, once we get in the flow, I want to go. Brent, thank you very much for the $20 for the Prime Rib Fund. I'll put that in. I'll make a special Prime Rib savings account.
Maybe we can get Prime Rib together, buddy.
We can, one way or another.
Yeah.
I don't know if you have good Prime Rib out there, but if you're ever driving on I-70 eastbound to go see Scotch, make a pit stop in Columbus, and I'll get you some Prime Rib.
I've heard Columbus is a dangerous place, but for you, I would.
Yeah. Dangerous is, relatively speaking, from the years 1995 till 2015, the average homicide count in Columbus, Ohio was 100. From 2016 to today, those numbers are up 40% year over year. So it's considerably dangerous, more dangerous now that the new mayor's administration has taken over.
Maybe I will contact the Avengers and time travel to a safer time. Oh, by the way, real quick, Mike mentioned ribeyes over prime rib. Yeah, let's be honest here. Ribeyes are better than prime rib, though, right?
Yeah, but if you're cooking for a crowd, it's way easier just to cook a big prime rib and
that's fair. But ribeye, you can't go wrong with a ribeye either.
Well, and if I do it on the smoker, it's pretty incredible. I'll say that.
I'll take your word for it.
It's hard to beat. You get that crust on the outside, and then you slice it open, and all that fat is like rendered out. Yeah,
that's like me when they cut me up for my autopsy after I have a heart attack.
Oh, you already gave us some money. You didn't need to up it just because you didn't know about the case prior. But thank you very much.
Thank you.
We appreciate these greatly.
Additional prime rib. Thank you very much.
And I don't really do Never. I'm not going to get into it.
Yeah, we should probably stop talking about meat and do our job here.
It's 90% of what I do at Christmas time is meat. So I'm the meat guy. Yeah. I'm the meat. I'll get to answer this. the population grew minimally. I'll put it that way. The city went from about 800,000 to about 1 million. So city grew 20% and homicides went up 40%. It was mostly because of stuff that I'll talk about in videos. So I did an edit of the main video that is out there about this shooting. And then Lenny sent me another video that's more extensive. And what I did is I have that paused on another screen after the shooting, because this video is going to cover when, like, I don't know, the moments that the first two officers arrived on scene, and then it's going to cover when Ben Darby shows up and shoots the guy, and then the video stops. The next video that we're going to watch is the aftermath, which I have not actually watched. So this will be new for me.
It's well, we can talk about it when we get there. I was going to say before I feel like we should watch all the body cameras in succession. Just watch it all.
Yeah.
And then I think we should go back through and go point to point. Okay.
Yeah, we're answering your question right now, bud. I don't know. What's your name? Win. I'm not going to. I'm just calling you Win. We have all three officers' body cameras, and for some reason in the video that I had downloaded, they weren't in the right order, I thought. So we're going to watch. There's a male officer and a female officer that were on scene first. First, you're going to see the female officer's perspective. Then you're going to see the male officer's perspective. And then we're going to watch the perspective of Officer Darby when he showed up. For some reason, they had the male first and Darby second and the female third. I don't know. Without further ado, here we go.
Do you have the audio on?
Is it not working? Oh.
Don't worry, folks. We're professionals.
I'm going to go back. Here, this video is only 3 minutes. Well, it's 4 minutes. So we're going to watch this in its entirety, and then we're going to come back and kind of watch it and commentate over it. Sound good?
That works. I don't know if everybody else is getting it, but I still don't hear any audio.
Okay, everyone's saying they can't hear. Let me see.
Remember, folks, we are professionals.
Okay, it's turned up here. It's turned up here. Let me check my audio settings. Mic is up. Man, this is going to be very exciting if I can't figure the sound out. Let me run a test. Was the audio working before?
It was, yeah. Yeah.
That's strange. Do we have audio now?
No.
Oh my gosh. Here, let me close this window. Here, give me a moment. You're going to have to look at us for a second. Let me... You know what I can do? I can do it this other way. No, that won't work. Yes, we are
never had this issue before. That's what she said.
Yeah.
And Brent, to answer your question, yeah, it's past the buffering.
All right.
Richard, thank you very much. Not to be confused with the, was it the drummer for Pink Floyd? Was Richard right? I could be wrong. Probably not the same guy, though. Now you got audio.
Now you do?
Huh?
Yep.
All right. We're going to
got
go
on drugs?
Here we go.
Tell them 10-3. Hey, I need you to stand up. You got a gun to his head. Hey, what's your name? Why you want to take your life, man? Huh? Sure got on drugs? Is anyone else in the house? It's some. She's upstairs? What's her name? What's going on today that you want to take your life?
Put your fucking gun at him. Put the gun down!
He has it to his head. I don't want anything to happen to you right now. I don't.
I do edit the
He's
sound
right
when the
here in
gunfire
front of
goes
me.
for YouTube purposes.
Hey, look.
Hey, brother. Put the gun down. Put the gun down. Hey, brother. Put it down, bro. Put the gun down.
We don't want you to take your life. Please. Please. Lower the...
Huntsville police.
Huntsville police.
It's connecting for several police.
10-3.
Hey. I need you to stand up. You got a gun.
10-3, 1075 threats to Doremus.
Charlie 44, just be advised.
What's your name?
1049 to his head.
Why you want to take your life, man? Huh? Sure got on drugs?
It's like, come on.
Charlie 44, can you stand on your phone?
10-3, 1049 to his head.
She's upstairs? What's her name? What's going on today that you want to take your life?
Put your fucking gun at him. Put the gun down. Put the gun down!
He has it to his head. I don't want anything to happen to you right now.
He can shoot
I don't.
you.
Listen. She's right here in front of me. Hey, look.
Hey, brother. Put the gun down. Put the gun down. Hey, brother. Put it down, bro. Put the gun down. Put it down. I'm not going to kill you again.
Please. Please. Lower the gun.
44 shots fired.
What's going on today that you want to take your life?
Put your fucking gun at him. Put the gun down!
He has it to his head. I don't want anything to happen to you right now.
He can shoot you.
Right here in front of me. Hey, look.
Hey, brother. Put the gun down. Put the gun down. Hey, brother. Put it down, bro. Put the gun down. Put it down. I'm not going to tell you again.
Please. Please. Lower the gun.
44 shots fired.
Alrighty. I don't know if it had the impact when I took the sound out, but this was the exact video that I had, and they paused it right there so you didn't have to watch the guy getting murdered. It's my understanding that he was sitting, as you're looking at it, on the left side of the couch, but he's like a dark-skinned guy, so it's hard to see him.
Yeah, and he's wearing darker clothing too.
Yeah. Where do you want to start?
Well, gosh, there's so many. I guess we'll just start somewhere.
We want to talk just with the female officer that was first? Kind of what's going on?
So, I guess for me, the more times I watched this, initially when I watched this, I had a really big problem with what she was doing. And I still don't think it was great. Although she was establishing a rapport with this guy. She was very calm the way she spoke with him. I felt she had kind of a calming presence with this guy. Now, I think there could be an argument to be made, well, this guy has a gun. You're kind of in a bad position. But she isn't in the house initially. She's kind of behind the door, so she has an opportunity to move. Not great cover because you got to deal with the windows, but initially she's kind of getting that preliminary information, which is very important because I think this call changes depending on who's in the house and things like that, which she's trying to get that stuff, and then it kind of gets interrupted. That's kind of my first thoughts on that.
One thing, just as you're talking about it, that I never really thought about asking before is I would really like to see 2 minutes before right here. Like, how did they approach the house? Did they come up and knock on the door? Did they walk up and the door was already open?
I don't know if that's out there or not.
Yeah. Because if either way, you know, because I've heard people say, you know, generally speaking, if someone's suicidal in a house, you're not going to go in, you're going to stay outside, stay safe, you know, whatever. But eventually you have to get some eyes in there. There's also the fact that we get a lot of calls about suicidal people that say, hey, I got a gun, I'm going to kill myself. And then you get there, they don't have a gun, or, you know, there's a lot of other things that go into it. So I don't have like you were saying, I don't have a huge problem with her kind of sticking the head in the door and being like, oh, there he is. He's right there. He's got a gun. Is it perfect? No. But I don't know a perfect way to deal with this right here. There's someone else in the house too. And I think there was a little knowledge of the guy before, right?
Yeah. Wynn is kind of commenting on this, and it's kind of coming back to me. Is my understanding he called and said the door was open kind of thing. I don't know if there was information about who was in the house. They were starting to get that, and then things escalated, so to speak. I would say, again, this is Monday morning quarterbacking the shit out of this, but something we would do at my department is on these type of calls, we would try and call these people and talk to them. And, you know, maybe do an order out or things like that. Now, obviously, that might not be perfect either because, you know, you don't want things to turn into a hostage situation. But you kind of have to run through the numbers. And we've talked about the imperfections of police work is, you know, you could do something to try and be totally safe. And then there might be something you're not thinking about or something that comes up, such as, you know, he says he wants to kill himself, but who else is in the house? We got to get them out of the house. But a lot of times we were trying to make phone contact with suicidal people that had guns or ordering them out and things like that. Now there's issues when you order them out that could be dangerous too. But, you know, if you order them out, in theory, you should be in a place from cover, and that should make it a little safer for you and not poking your head into the door. So I think there's arguments against that, definitely.
Yeah. And there's also, just ordering people out. It's not foolproof either. I've seen officers screw that up, which sucks. But you know, I've lost my train for a moment. Getting back to kind of where she was, like, is it perfect with the calling people ahead of time? That was one thing that you mentioned. I think it's a great idea and it's a great tool if it works. I can tell you the area where I work, we would probably get 5% or less of people answering the phone.
Oh yeah. People don't answer. Yeah.
So it's not also because it's something that people on the internet will hear and they'll be like, oh my God, why don't more departments do this? Like, this is the easiest way to fix the problem. Well, 97% of the time they're not going to answer the phone. So it's another tool and it's a great thing to try to do. You know, at my agency, I would probably have the dispatcher do it. I'd say, hey, I'm a minute out. Can you have the person meet me at the door and I'll talk to him from there, or, you know, something like that. But she gets the call that the door is open. You're welcome to come in. She stuck her head in the door, found him. I am imagining in her mind, she was like, hey, I've got eyes on this guy. I don't want to let him out of my sight. Because if I let him out of my sight, he could rearrange the room, take up a different position. Is it perfect? No, but I don't have a huge problem.
Huntsville police!
I'm going to turn this down.
Tell them 10-3.
Oh, and I thought this part was decent. When she looked in and she says, hey, he's got a gun, Era 10-3. that's probably when old boy came running, right?
Yeah.
He was sitting there doing his paper. Suicidal person call goes out. Not a big deal. Like where I work, we probably on my precinct, not that I handle them all, but probably 5 or 6 a day per shift on my precinct. It's not a huge deal. The majority of the time, people are just depressed and they just want to talk to somebody. It's not a big deal. But she sticks her head in there and she's like, oh, he's got a gun. She tells her partner, Era 10-3. Where I work, that means officer in trouble. I don't know if that's what that means there, but it's something important. Yeah. But instead of her using her radio herself, she asked her partner to do it, which is a good call, right? Like she's got eye contact with the guy. She's in charge of the situation. He's just there as support, doing whatever it is that she needs him to do. So I don't have a problem with that. Anything to add before I go on?
No, and I know we're going to address this a little bit. I just saw this comment come up. Where I work, if someone wanted to kill themselves, it's not a crime, it's a choice. There are no other people in danger. We don't put officers in harm's way. We don't push the issue. I think that's fairly common throughout the country. That was kind of the stance my department had. I don't know if we'll get to it, but I have a story about that I've told on the podcast, but it kind of relevant to this call. I won't say it's similar, but there were some similar aspects to it. That's generally what I've heard. I have heard, through running this page, I talk to cops throughout the country where people say, no, that's something we're going to go in on and try and stop them from doing it, which the way we were always taught is don't force that. Don't force yourself into a suicide by cop. So yeah. I'm sure we'll get more into that, but I thought that was worthy of addressing.
Well, there's that. And I don't know. We take my agency. We go to every call, like damn near everyone that calls in, we go, unless I can convince the supervisor to cancel the call, which I've been known to do. But like we go to a lot of mental health calls. Someone will call in and say, hey, I'm feeling depressed. I'd like to go somewhere. There's no one to go pick them up except for us. So we go. A suicidal person, I don't think is any different. So we go. We're not going to, if we get there and they just said, hey, I'm feeling suicidal and I have a gun, I want to kill myself. We go, we knock on the door. We don't get an answer. We walk around the house a few times. We don't see anything. We're not forced to entry or anything. We're going to leave, but we still go. So
yeah, I think there may be, I don't want to say forcing the issue, but I saw a comment on it a minute ago is if there's other people there, and I think that's what they were trying to establish, that kind of helps your decision making on how you're going to handle that call. Because if there's people in the house, potentially that could be an issue, depending. So that's worth finding out and seeing, who's in there and all the details with that, right? Is it a strange wife? Is it, who knows? Is he wants to kill her too or whatever? But that's why you ask those questions and try and figure it out.
Well, a lot of times on these kind of calls, you don't get very complete information either.
Yeah.
I wanted to give Mike a shout out. He said he had to go, but appreciate it, Mike. It's good to see you. We'll see you on the next one. Yeah. And I've heard you talking to people on the podcast about, we just don't go. It's one of those things that I have a hard time wrapping my head around. Just because like we're the police, we go, we help people. These are people that are calling for help. I'm not saying that I'm excited to go on every single call, but I have a hard time also saying, we're just not going to go. So it's partly just because I've been doing this for 11 years and this is how we've been doing it. And to convince me to do something different is going to take some convincing. It's not that I'm saying it's wrong, but man, it's weird to me. I don't know.
And something I've been thinking about a lot lately is, I work for one department, right? There's different ways of thinking throughout the whole country, and some are better than others. So I'm trying to keep my mind open to it. And I agree with you, because the first time I walked away from a suicidal person call, we responded, we tried, and we weren't going to force the issue. It was really weird to leave.
Yeah.
It was really weird to leave.
We also have this problem where someone will call, like I made a video about it a long time ago, like go check on your family and stop calling the police to do it. Like you're too fucking lazy to drive 20 minutes across town to talk to your mom. Mm-hmm. You're calling the police because your mom is suicidal. But like people do that here, they'll call. So yeah, my mom was texting me these vague suicidal statements. I want you guys to go. They'll literally say, you need to go pink slipper. And pink slip means here is a involuntary mental health hold. We'll go to the house and we'll talk to her. And she's like, yeah, you know, I've been down. It's Christmas time and none of my family came around. And it's just not the same. I've been a little bit depressed, but I'm okay. I'm not thinking about harming myself. I was just kind of venting to my children over text messages, and it is what it is. We'll say, okay, ma'am, you know, if that's the way you feel, then we'll get out of your hair. But if you change your mind, like, you know, we're always here to help. Please call if you need help, and we'll leave. Then that family member will call back in and say the cops went out there and they didn't do anything, you know, and they'll demand action. So like it further complicates when it's a little bit more of a specific threat. Like, hey, my dad sent me a picture of a gun and said, you're never going to see me again. Goodbye. And then officers are like, well, it's not a crime. We're not going to go out there. It's hard to explain that to citizens. So I don't know. That's kind of my thoughts on all that.
Yeah.
But,
and I think we could get down the rabbit hole of that for sure.
It is what it is, but moving on. So she's in there. She's calling out what's going on.
Hey,
the dog is super friendly.
you got a gun too, say it. Hey, what's your name? Why you want to take your life, man? Huh? Sure got on drugs? Is anyone else in the house? It's some. She's upstairs? What's her name? What's going on today that you want to take your life?
Put your fucking gun at him.
Okay. Here's my whole thing on this, and I know we're going to talk more about this, but if Mr. Darby was worried about that call being handled incorrectly, the escalating it, I think, is an issue, right? I think, and we've talked about this, I think, before, and you tell me if you disagree, but if he thinks if there's an issue with where they're at in the house and they're not being safe, I would argue that taking a step back and moving to a safer position and restarting from a place from cover or trying to do a different way of contacting this guy or ordering out would be much safer. And I get he's trying to help her out, but telling her what to do while she's trying to talk to this guy and communicate with this guy, I don't think he was in her FTO or anything like that, right? I see some problems with that. What are your thoughts?
How long had he been a cop? Because it wasn't long. It was like 5 years max.
I think it was 2 or 3 years, and I think the other two officers were 4 years. So relatively new cops.
They're all really new, but it's not like he was the most senior guy in the world either. Yeah.
No.
And it's one of those things, God, I don't even know where to start, because his perspective, I guess it's worth saying, like, because we're at the point where he's here and like we have to explain around this. We've both heard his wife talk several times now. It's been probably a year since I've listened to it, but her perspective is that Darby shows up and he is the best, most tactically minded police officer that's ever walked the face of the fucking planet. And he's been through FBI schools and all these other special trainings and this, that, and the other thing. And he showed up and that female officer was in the kill box. And he's like, that was horrible. She was about to die because that guy could have if he had the gun here, you can turn it like that very quickly and kill somebody. So in his opinion, what she was doing was her life was on the line. She was literally about to die. So he was trying to, what's what I'm looking for, be expedient or like take over the run because in his mind, they had already fucked it up so bad that it was beyond repair.
That he had to save them was kind of the impression that I got.
Yeah, he had to save them. And I 100%, I disagree with him 97%. You know, and she was actually she's still in the door frame here. She's mostly behind cover. She didn't have her gun out, which she should have had it out. I would have, in this situation. I would have had it at my side,
probably.
Oh, or low ready.
Or low ready.
Yeah. Like, for those of you who don't know, low ready is like right here. So you're ready to go, but you're not pointing it at the guy because you're not making the situation more intense. It's already a very intense situation. She should have had her gun out. She should have had it at the low ready and talked to him, maybe out of his eyesight, because you can also do that. You can have it right here. You're behind cover and you can pop that thing out really quick. That's what she said.
Maybe not the time, buddy.
There is no wrong time. But yeah, like what she was doing wasn't the worst thing in the world. You know what I mean? But in his mind it was. And but then what he does next, so he gets up and you're going to see, I think he basically bumps her further into the room, which is totally unsafe. Yeah.
He so it's like, her into the room.
If you're worried that she's in the room with a suicidal person armed with a gun and that you think this is the end of the world and she can't do this and that it's so bad that you need to swear at her, like I can say with some confidence I've never sworn at another officer on a scene before.
I have.
I don't think I have.
He's a good dude though.
Yeah, but especially not in this situation where even if this officer had a gun pointed at her, I wouldn't get up there and be like, point your fucking gun at him. You know?
Yeah, I would be like, hey, we need to rethink this. Let's regroup or whatever.
How about you reach up and you grab her by the sleeve and you say, we're backing out. Yeah. You know, like if what she's doing is that dangerous that she's about to die, you know, and you can't get through to her. Because I've also had situations where, like, I'm not the best negotiator in the world, but I'm okay. You know, I feel confident in my negotiating skills. I like the way I do it. And it's hard for me to sit back and watch somebody else negotiate sometimes. And I'll kind of like lean into him and be like, hey, what's he doing? Where's his hands? What's he saying? What's his face look like? Is he responding to you? Or I'll say, hey, try this, try this, try this. And I'll say, hey, can I have a shot? You know, let me talk to him. That's the way you do this stuff. You don't just say, point your fucking gun at him. He's going to fucking shoot you. Like that whole thing set the stage for why he got sentenced for 25 years. That's like the first half. The second half was how he acted during the trial.
Well, I just wanted to address something really quick. And I was going to bring it up later, but I'm glad this was up now. It's a comment from Wynn. Said he shot because he moved his hand. And
That's what he said.
That is what he said. But let me just give you something. You don't give somebody orders and then shoot them. So let's say he said one of the things is he moved his gun, right? If you tell someone to drop their gun, what are they going to do? They're going to move, right? I would say in a split second, that's a hard movement to decide if they're dropping their gun or if they're turning it towards you.
Yeah.
That's why you need to be awful careful with how and exactly you tell people to do things. And that's why you slowly, calmly do these things.
Yeah. And especially when he had, and I think the guy was black, right? Jeffrey Parker. I haven't seen a picture of him. I'm assuming
I don't know.
Black.
I'm not sure, to be honest with you. I'm not totally sure.
I assumed because of you couldn't see him in the shade and the neighborhood and the environment down there. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But, you know, he's talking to a female black who was being very nice and very sweet to him. Oh, he was white. Fuck me. So regardless, I thought it was like a same race type thing. But even if it's not, this lady seems really sweet. She's talking to him a certain way, and then all of a sudden it changed. You know, you got dude pops into the room and is screaming at him. We'll hear what he says in a second again. But like, I can also see if he's got the gun to his head and he's calm, and then all of a sudden the dynamic of the room changes, him flinching a little bit. But the problem that we're kind of getting at by talking about her position in the room and then him coming up and pushing further in the room is that he put himself in a position where he was more likely to get shot at by the guy with the gun, creating this whole thing. So like if he would have stayed out of the room and let her stay in the door jamb, the whole flinching of the gun wouldn't have mattered.
Have you ever heard, and we use this a lot, is creating your own exigency? You don't want to do that. That's a term we used, at least my department, is you don't want to create your own exigency. And that's kind of what he did. Yeah,
it's something I don't think we have ever trained it specifically like that. But that is something I'm going to bring up to like our defensive tactics guys, like that specific term. But we do, no, we haven't. That's like it's a very concise way of saying it, to put it that way. Because we did, in my most recent defensive tactics training, we had a whole 2 hours on situations where a lot of it revolved around tasers and officers having their taser stripped and then ended up killing the suspect. We went over a lot of maybe this wasn't the most appropriate time to use a taser because that taser caused you to shoot that guy. Which is what you're saying, like created your own exigency. What's the word again?
It's a hard word to say, isn't it?
It is. I'm all hopped up on coffee and I had a bowl of ice cream after dinner. So I'm all
hopped up on sugar.
It is, but it's the same thing. Like, so the argument that he flinched with the gun, so I had to kill him, as far as I'm concerned, it falls on deaf ears for me because he didn't need to create that situation. So,
yeah, I'm with you there. I've been kind of following this one for a while because this actually happened, I think, before I even created Poorly Made Police Memes. And when he got charged, somebody had sent me a message and said, "Hey, have you seen this case?" And I looked it up and I watched the video and I was like, "Ooh, this doesn't look good."
Well, and also this is going to be the standard from now on. Whenever an officer is involved with a suicidal person and shoots them, people are going to be like, "Oh yeah, it's just like this." It probably wasn't, you know?
Yeah.
All right, let's move on a little bit. It goes quick. And the big thing is, I've counted down the seconds. I thought it's 13 seconds from when he walked in, but the thing on the internet is 11 seconds. He killed the guy in 11 seconds.
It's something like that, yeah.
Put the gun down. He has it to his head. I don't want anything to happen to you right now. I don't. Listen, he's right here in front of me.
That's something I just want to point out too, is that Darby shows up and he's yelling and cussing at her, and she's negotiating with two people, which is fucked up.
Yeah.
Hey, look.
Hey, brother. Put the gun down. Put the gun down. Hey, brother. Put it down, bro. Put the gun down.
We don't want you to take your life. Please. Please. Lower the...
I'm trying to think of a time, because usually these suicidal people calls and we see the videos, I've never been on one that went this quick. You know what I mean? Like, it usually takes a second for it to evolve, or people are trying to negotiate and things like that. And it was just kind of crazy how quick this one went.
That is a super good point.
I can't remember, and I could be off, guys. I don't know everything, but I can't remember seeing a video or being part of a situation where it just happened like that. You know, and it's what the call is, right? Like, if we're talking about like an armed robber or something like that, God, I think even then, would you move in like that in such a way? It's not very tactically. Just put yourself out wide in the open.
No. No. I can't think of a situation where I would go into a room like that with somebody. And I think what happened was he got up there and he basically pushed her into the room. Not physically, but he was barking at her and he was in her ear, and she was like, "I'd rather be in the room with this guy." So she went in there, and then Darby was like, we're all going in, almost like we're stacked on the door, like a tactical entry type situation. I just don't like it. And he caused this to evolve way faster than it had to, which goes back to, well, the gun moved. Okay. Shouldn't have been in the room. Shouldn't have pushed the other chick in the room. She shouldn't have had to argue with you and try to negotiate with the suspect at the same time. Suspect, victim, whatever. Yeah, it was going okay. They still could have backed up. Could have had a lot more time, you know. I don't know. He created his own exigency.
It's tough, right? Makes me feel better that you can't say it.
At least I can say other. Okay, so the door was closed. She opens the door.
Huntsville police.
Yeah, 1018 for several police.
10-3. Hey, I need you to stand up. You got a gun too.
10-3, 1075 threats to Doremus.
Charlie 44,
Hey,
just be advised.
what's your name?
1049 to his head.
Why you want to take your life, man? Huh? Sure got on drugs?
It's like, come on.
Charlie 44, can you stand on your helmet?
10-3, 1049 to his head.
She's upstairs. What's her name? What's going on today that you want to take your life?
Point your fucking gun at him. Put the gun down.
So, up until this point, from this camera angle, you took it down. She wasn't in the room as far as I thought she was. Did you feel
and
that?
That's something I noticed watching the video again just before we did this. So I was kind of refreshing my memory on all this stuff, because I remember having an issue with her kind of being in the room without, really having any protection for herself. And we mentioned the fatal funnel. I would argue with his positioning, you're not quite in a fatal funnel type situation, because she could back out of that. You have a brick house. Now, granted, you got the windows and stuff. I think he would have had a pretty tough shot to hit her, but it's not great positioning. I'm not going to argue that it's great tactical positioning. I've seen worse, but watching this again, I'm like, she really was behind the door. Most of her was behind the door.
Mm-hmm.
So
and she was peeking in and popping out. Again, is it perfect? No. I did a whole video on, is it perfect? No. Are they working with what they've got? Yes. And I don't have a huge problem with it. They haven't gone past the point of no return. And then here comes Darby.
Put the gun down.
He has it to his head. I don't want anything to happen to you right now.
He can shoot
I don't. Listen, she's right here.
I pause it real quick. So initially she was kind of behind that door frame, and then she kind of did move a little bit further in, as you can see here, because Darby's, I think, would be third in the stack now. So she is a little further in now than she should have been.
But I think it's because he started yelling at her. Like,
I don't.
Yeah. It's when he said, put your gun on him, she had to lean in with her gun.
Yeah.
And then he's like, he can shoot you. And I think that's the thing I should have mentioned before, because one of the trainings that he went to, this FBI school or whatever, they did a whole thing, and he had somebody come and talk to the class, or he was at a function where some guy was giving a speech where he had a suicidal person with a gun to his head that turned the gun on the negotiator, whoever it was, and shot him in the face in a split second. Wasn't that one of his defenses?
That's something I have not heard.
Yeah.
Which is possible, right?
Yeah.
Which is possible. I'm not taking that away from it. That is possible.
Yeah, and I understand his perspective, but again, if you think that officer is being unsafe, you pull them out. I mean, you do the next safest thing. Is the next safest thing to push them further into the house? No. Is it to yell and scream at them? No. Is it to be like, hey bud, let's back out? Like, we got a little ahead of ourselves. And I've said this, and I've had officers say this to me. Hey man, we need to slow this down a little bit. He did not do that. He got there and he sped it the fuck up. I already lost my next point, so.
Hey, look.
Hey, brother, put the gun down. Put the gun down. Hey, brother, put it down, bro. Put the gun down. Put it down. I'm not going to kill you again.
Please, please, lower the gun.
Yeah. And there it is. I'm going to skip ahead. All right. You ready for the next one?
Let's do it.
All right.
What's going on today that you want to take your life?
Point your fucking gun at him. Put the gun down.
He has it in his head. I don't want anything to happen to you right now.
He was yelling at the victim in the house from being number 3 in the stack too.
Yeah.
Like, these are all things that good police officers don't do.
Yep.
That's I've listened to the defense a couple of times, and when you're listening to it on podcast form, it's one thing, but watching it, no. And like, you're not pushing by me in this situation, but I've got some years on me. And guys have a little bit of respect for me. But if a new guy if I was in this position and a new guy tried to push past me, it's not fucking happening. And then if he walked in there and shot,
right? Like if let's just play that out. Let's say she pushed back, right? Like, hey, hold on a second. Now she's dealing with him and not focused to the guy that's potentially the threat.
Well, and I'm kind of referring to this officer here.
Oh yeah. Yeah, he should have. I don't know what he was doing.
Yeah. Because she is doing her job in there. Let her do her work. And if you're there and you need to pull her out of the room, then you should be doing that too. But, and I don't know anything about this guy, his mindset. I haven't heard any of his interviews, so I'm not going to necessarily speculate. But number 3 comes up and starts yelling at her and yelling at the guy in the house. And I'm standing there kind of watching her back. I'm going to turn to you and be like, you need to shut the fuck up, And when you try to walk by me, no, you're not fucking walking by me. Don't yell at that guy right now. I mean, like, I might even 100% fully leave her alone to turn you and get you out of the scene. That's how bad what he's doing is to this situation.
Well, and it's police work 101. One person is talking.
Yeah. And yeah, one person is talking because that doesn't confuse the person in the house. You do that when you're doing, like, our version of felony stops. I know is different than your version of felony stops. All the time.
Same on ours. Yeah, one person is giving orders.
Yeah. Well, I'm just saying, like, the way we order them out. Yeah. But we will dictate that. And, like, usually one guy on felony stops is a little different, but one guy will jump up and he's like, hey, I got the air. Like, if he's on the bullhorn or whoever's giving the commands, I got that. And then you got other guys saying, I've got lethal, I'll be cuffing and all that kind of stuff. But, yeah, you don't fucking do this. It's madness. I
want to address this comment real quick. If he didn't get involved, she would have talked him down. Maybe.
Yeah. Identical.
Yeah, I wouldn't say definitely, but maybe.
But it's worth a shot, right?
Yeah.
You gotta give her the opportunity. I know the other thing I was gonna say as I pour my Four Roses single barrel.
Jelly.
Yeah. I was talking to my buddies about this at roll call this morning because they're like, oh, I saw you're doing your live stream on that shooting, and they're like, I remember that because we covered this in training. One of the points that we all kind of agreed on is, you show up, if somebody's in a bad spot, you try to talk to them and you're like, hey, you're in a bad spot. You need to get out of that spot. If they're not listening to you, this, that, and the other thing, you don't put yourself in that bad spot as well. You let them be there because you can't, you know what I mean? And there's another side to it too, that is like, hey, I'm the point officer. I've got a feel for what's happening in here. I have a feel for the guy I'm talking to and I have a feel for my abilities, if I put myself in a tricky spot, I'm doing that on my own. There has to be a little bit of that leeway as well. And like walking in there with a shotgun and blasting someone in the face is not the way to do it. You know, like there's a lot of nuance to it. Are you tracking what I'm saying at all?
No, I hear you, man. I hear you.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not saying that everybody needs to go and be a hero and jump in a room with an armed guy. But there's, you know, you hear and that's where I'm reluctant to even say it, but that's where you get these like heroic stories, is that these people, they were in the moment. They knew exactly what was going on. They took control of the situation. They walked up to a guy, took a gun from him. You know, you hear these stories. You don't want to be the guy that jumps up ahead of everybody and shoots this victim while the officer is just about to disarm him peacefully. So.
Yeah. Well, and thank you, Saul, as always. But we will talk about that, the deal.
Yeah. And thanks, Jeff.
Yeah, thanks, buddy. Saul, you messed up my whole train of thought. Well, I did want to say, though, is these hero things, you know, the disarming people kind of thing. I remember there was a video where a guy had a knife, and we're not going to go over the whole thing, but the guy had a knife, charged a cop. The cop kept backpedaling until he tripped and fell, could have been killed, and he was called a hero. That guy's a fucking idiot.
Yeah.
So, you know, I don't want people getting the wrong impression that that's always possible. It's not.
Yeah.
But in this case, was it the safest thing ever? No, probably not. But I thought, based on how she was talking, she calmed me down.
Yeah.
Could have been working for this guy.
Who knows? And I don't know. There's just a way. You either get that person out of the room, and if you can't, maybe it's the army mentality in me as well. You have this in police work too, with like hazmat situations and burning buildings and all that.
Please don't talk about hazmat.
I know you put it in my head,
yeah.
But like, if someone is in that fatal area, whether it be a fire, you know, a chemical spill, they're in this fatal room with this dude with a gun. And there's other scenarios like in the military, it's like the guy out in the middle who's shot and injured. You want to get to him. You don't make the situation better by creating more casualties. I guess that's probably a better way of describing it. You know, I'm not saying let that person be there, be a hero, but if you can't get them out, you don't put yourself in that situation. So that was
Nixie. I see you. I've seen that one too, but there's one where the suspect did not get shot. I've seen that one also. There's unfortunately
a bunch
of videos where people are backing away from guys with knives instead of, you know, lateral movement and ending the threat. But
yeah,
that's the story for another day.
And the one in New York also, where they tased him instead of shooting him. And the one officer got like slashed really, really bad.
Yeah.
In some of those situations, people are calling those officers heroes, but really the officer was just stuck. They were black. They went black, you know, they got their gun on the guy and the guy's coming at him with a knife. They just kept backpedaling because it happened like that. And
or they're afraid to go to jail.
That could be, well,
throw that out there too.
What state was that where the officer, somebody pulled a gun on him and chased him down and the officer ran from him? He drew his gun and then ran from the guy. And he fell down.
I saw one in Georgia where there was 2 deputies that did the same thing and ran from the guy.
Ugh.
Open parking lot. And I think they eventually ended up shooting him, but
this one was an apartment building, apartment outside around like a apartment stairs. I don't know. The guy ended up getting fired for cowardice, but
yeah. I saw that one. It was a bigger city. I can't remember, but that one was rough. Yeah.
Yeah. And I guess that guy, from my defensive tactics guys, they looked into it, and his academy like sheet from when he went through the academy, basically everything in it was like a red flag. Like he shouldn't have been through. Mm-hmm. But they were so hurting for people that they let him through, and it almost got him killed. But we covered this, Allie. I think he was a cop for like 5 years.
No, 18 months is what somebody else put too.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Wynn has looked into this way more than I have more recently, so he's going to be the subject matter expert as far as I'm concerned. Let me see. Let's see. Have you heard of someone tasing someone in this situation? Tasing. I have a whole video on taser on my body camera channel. We can cover it here sometime, but if someone has a gun, your first move is never a taser. There's a lot of rules for when you tase somebody that is presenting lethal force. This situation, I never would have brought a taser into the room. So.
No, I mean, potentially, if you have multiple officers as cover, you could consider like a beanbag or a 40 or something like that to try and get them to drop the gun. But in that circumstance too, guy might think he's getting shot. I think you could talk about a taser if you had enough people there in a tactical plan, but you better have some lethal coverage there.
Yeah, a tactical plan is the key word. And that would be one where everybody backs out. For the love of God, Darby's there with the shotgun, so you'd put him first in line. You walk in the room, and you're basically using him as cover. You hit that taser. Depending on what happens with the taser is going to dictate the next move. Unfortunately, with Darby there with the shotgun, we already know what the next move was going to be because he's already played his hand. But I don't know. Let's watch the rest of his thing.
Can shoot you. Hey, brother. Put the gun down.
He went and boxed out another officer. Like the other officer had his gun out, and he just walks in and basically pushes him out with his ass. Yeah, boxed him out, and no, I don't know. It's everything is wrong with this right here, and so I don't know. The whole flinching with the gun, it's a moot point as far as I'm concerned.
Put the gun down. Hey, brother. Put it down, bro.
So is this the guy's head?
I think so. I feel like in these videos they even blur him, so I think it makes it even tougher.
Yeah.
Because I remember when I first watched this part, I was like, I can't even see what the guy's doing.
Yeah.
And I've seen the video. I've seen the video uncut. Where it shows a little bit more and you can see him a little bit better. But still, we talked about the flinching and he shot when the guy flinched. You're ordering the guy to drop the gun. He's going to flinch. You're telling him to do that. So why are you doing that from a position where, he's not being safe? He basically walked in front of this dude.
Mm-hmm.
You can't give somebody an impossible order to follow because can I get in trouble for acting like I have a gun in my head? I don't know if you do that.
I did it earlier.
Okay. You have a gun to your head and it's like, drop it. It's, it's like there's similar movements.
Yeah.
Right. I could be easily confused. I don't know if he turned the gun towards him or not. Right. And here's the thing is we talked about creating your own exigency.
Yeah.
I said it right. If the guy points the gun at him, now he's forced to do what he has to do, right? Because he wants to live. But you put yourself in that position where it's a suicidal subject.
Yeah. And again, it's not about what happens from here on. Everything that happened before this matters a lot.
Yeah.
Because he made it, the way he gets out of his car and he runs up to the house, he didn't ask a single question. He didn't say, hey, how's it going? Like, where's he sitting? What can I do? Where do you need me? The first thing out of his mouth was, point your fucking gun at him in that tone. And then I should go back. I'm going to go back and see how long it took for him to go in from when he walked up. So a little bit further. All right. So 37 and 57 seconds is when he gets there.
What's going on today that you want to take your life?
Point your fucking gun at him.
Took him 3 seconds
Put
to
the
start
gun
screaming
down!
to the officer. 10 seconds later, he's yelling at the victim.
He can shoot you.
Hey, brother.
24 seconds. He was on scene for 24 seconds before he just barged in that room and took over. There's no excuse. And that's what the jury saw. It doesn't matter. Nothing else matters. Like, there's no excuse.
Put the gun down. Put the gun down.
Hey, brother. Put it down, bro. Put the gun down.
Put it down. I'm not going to tell you again.
Please, please, lower the gun.
It also matters that every person with a gun is not the same. Like, suicidal person with a gun is not the same as someone who has shot somebody, has run, and you have them cornered. It's not the same as the guy that was threatening his neighbors, and when you went over to get his information for a report, he pulls a gun. Darby was treating this guy like someone that had just killed 5 people. And I think that matters a lot. Like, I would be livid. I've been mad in situations where there was a relatively minor use of force that didn't need to happen because of an officer kind of escalating situation. I can't even begin to fathom how I would feel if I was one of those other 2 officers. And I can also tell you.
The problem, though, is there. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Yeah.
They're new. I think
they are.
When you're new, and even though they have some seniority over them, there's a lot to learn in this job, and they might not have been in a position in their careers where they felt, even though he was younger, that they could say something to him. You know what I'm saying?
There's that, and there's the fact that he was only there for 24 seconds. And like he caught them by surprise. Me and how loud I am and how people know me and they know not to kind of fuck with me. I would have been caught off guard by that. You know?
Yeah.
If some new guy came running in and Leroy Jenkins. Now, I mean, I can't necessarily say that because the more experience you have, like when you're newer and you're on a scene, you're seeing things like this. You know, anything outside of this little circle, you don't see. You're looking around, you're seeing that people walk up behind you, you don't know that they're there. As you get older, that starts to expand to the point where I can be talking to this guy over here and I can tell that there's 3 people walking up behind me, and I can tell kind of how they're walking, and I know whether or not I should be alarmed by the way they're walking. When you're newer, you're not necessarily aware of that, so some of this kind of stuff can happen. I don't blame them. But the one thing I was going to say is that when this went to trial, their testimony is what ended up hanging him. It was probably 50% was the body cam and 50% was their testimony. Because, Graham versus Connor, the standard for using force in a situation by a police officer was it reasonable in the eyes of a police officer? And the other 2 officers both stated that his use of force was not reasonable. And that's what got him convicted. So, I don't know. It's ugly.
Yeah, it's bad. I would be curious for those that are in the chat right now that are caught up. If anyone, I don't want to speak for you, Ben, but I think we're both on the same page. This was a bad shoot.
I feel 100%.
Yeah, it's bad. I would be curious if anyone disagrees with that. And I'm not here for arguments or disputes or anything, but I would be curious if maybe there's something we're not thinking about that somebody has somebody has something to say about. That didn't come out quite the way I was saying, but I would just be really curious if there's a different opinion on this that maybe we're not seeing.
Well, I know that there was someone in here that had support for Darby comment earlier. We're not going to call him out. Let's see. We said they were able to. Yeah, he said something like that, but I don't
He got some bad legal advice. I think that was pretty apparent.
What was the deal that he was offered?
Okay, so, and I'm spitballing a little bit because I read this on an article and I heard it on a podcast, but I want to make sure I get the details right, but I might be a little off. What his wife says, and by the way, I'm going to give a shout out to his wife that she is working her ass off to try and get her husband out. I have no issue with that. That's what a good spouse does. But she's talked a lot and she said some things where I'm like, it seems like bad information, right? Not that like she's getting bad information in just my humble opinion, but my understanding is what she said is that the DA called the police chief, and maybe the police chief said something about this too, said, hey, if you fire him, we won't charge him. The DA has denied this. But then the official deal was that, he pled to like manslaughter or something like that, and he would have had no time in jail. Yeah,
it would have been like parole or probation or something.
Something like that, and then but he can't be a cop again after something like that. So that's what Saul, who was in here a minute ago, was talking about. Should have took the deal. Now, in his mind, he didn't think he did anything wrong. And so I get that line of thinking, like, I didn't do anything wrong. Why should I have this charge on my record? Why should I never be able to be a cop again? I get that. I understand that line of thinking. But here's the other issue, which I think is important to talk about with these deals, is the police department cleared him. They said he did nothing wrong. And if I recall correctly, they admonished the two other officers. That's wild to me that they had no issue with what happened.
Yeah. I hate to say it, but I don't know. I don't want to slander somebody, but it sure looks like it was being brushed under the rug. It was like, okay, dude had a gun. Dude pointed at officers. Dude got shot. It's clean cut. That was their investigation. I realize, I think the charges got brought up. Was it in 2020 that the charges got brought up? It was.
I want to say it actually. It's late 19. I could be wrong.
Okay, but it was hokey. There was like some political accusations going around.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I believe that this was right. And the other reason that he got 25 years is because he defended himself so vehemently and never admitted that he screwed up.
I read that at sentencing, the defense asked for 20, which was the minimum. And maybe I got that wrong, but I feel like the defense asked for 20, which was the minimum, and then the prosecution asked for 25. So that's the issue with not taking the deal, is a lot of these charges, especially with murder, which I guess we could maybe get into the weeds a little bit with, is this murder or not? And without knowing Alabama law, I don't think that's really fair for me to discuss that too in detail. But, if you catch one of these charges, a lot of times there are mandatory minimums. And so
I don't know. I think for our level of expertise and what we do, I think just calling it a good shoot or a bad shoot is good enough, rather than getting into the whole murder thing, because that's a whole nother ball that we're probably not qualified to talk about.
Okay.
But I think it's a definitely a bad shoot that criminal charges were warranted. That'd be my stance.
Okay. I would say that being in jail for 25 years is a lot for this. I mean, like, I've seen cases where gang members kill other gang members and they're out on the street in less than 10.
Well,
that's insane to me. Now, I get there's the higher standard with cops, but 25 years, that seems like pretty damn fucking excessive.
Those are good points, because somebody brought up I'm trying to find the comment so I can highlight it, but it said this was like a bad job and bad training. I wanted to find it so I could throw it up here, but I can't find it. I think his training was probably adequate. His comprehension of his training was not. And that's something that I brought up in the very beginning of the live stream before we really got into the meat and potatoes of this. And it's something that I could highlight this comment as well, because people are always screaming for more police training, more police training, more police training. That's going to cut down on these types of things. I think that there is always going to be those Ben Darbys out there that have all this training and that have talked to all these people that aren't going to apply their training appropriately. Because in his mind, and apparently the mind of his police department, dude with a gun, you're in the room with the dude with the gun, the dude flinches, you kill him. It's not as simple as that. And these are things that you don't necessarily learn in school. You do learn a lot by watching videos like this and by breaking them down. And that's what we do when we go to our training. We learn by other people that have really, really messed up. And I want to read this comment verbatim again, because it says, maybe I'm wrong, but I've had the impression lately that very young cops get convicted of murder. Is it a personal failure or attributed to training in some academies endangering cops? I think that's a very similar comment than what I just discussed. There's training and then there's experience. Your experience is where you will learn how to apply your training. There are things that I will encounter on the street today after being a cop for over 11 years that I'm like, that's what we covered in the academy. And I'm like, that's what they were talking about. I just never had a chance to encounter it until today. You can only learn so much in a classroom. There's a lot that you have to learn in person. And it was similar to the video that I did a reaction video to the comments where everybody was criticizing the officers. The one officer, it was like her third day out of the academy. She was on coaching. She had never in her life encountered a person with a gun. She'd done it in coaching or in the academy, but she hadn't done it on training. And all of a sudden she's got one in front of her and there's like a billion things going through her head. The only way to get better at dealing with those situations is by repetition on the street. Training is good. More training is never bad, but there's a lot that you can't attribute to training. That's my take on it. I don't know if you disagree with that, Lenny, or not.
No, I don't disagree at all. I feel like as a young cop, I did things that I wouldn't do as a senior cop. And again, you have those moments where you go through the call and you're like, God, could I done that better? And I'm a classic overthinker, but I think that was good for me in policing because I think it made me a better cop. And I'd say, I did okay. And then I thought back and oh shit, we talked about this. I read case law about this. Okay, I can do this. It's the thing is every single call is different. And, sometimes you get the routine, bullshit calls you go to every day, but there's always something about those calls that it's how I liked how you brought up the comprehension of the material, because you can't teach people to comprehend. They either do or they don't. And I won't get into the weeds on this, but I remember having an argument with a good friend of mine who I think very highly of as a cop that did something really fucking stupid. And I'm like, dude, that was fucking stupid. And we argued for 2 hours about this thing that I know I was right about, I think. And that he totally looked at that case like way different than I did. And so it's tough because there's all this information out there, the laws floating out there, case laws, legal precedent floating out there that if you're not comprehending it, it's dangerous, and I hope when young cops see this type of thing, A, they don't rush themselves into it, and B, they think about don't put yourself into a bad spot, or if you see somebody in a bad spot, get them out of the bad spot. Maybe the lesson on this is creating your own agency.
I didn't write that down.
You should, but
there's also, when it comes to newer officers, and I don't want to completely tangent it, but there's a reason that new officers act differently than senior officers. But there's also certain things that I expect newer officers to do that I don't expect senior officers to do. Like, I tell newer officers a lot that if you're in a situation, you're dealing with people that are being verbally loud and combative towards each other, and you need to control the situation, start grabbing people, put them in handcuffs, put them in cars. Because you don't have the experience to deal with that crowd and deal with those people and de-escalate that situation. The best way that you can de-escalate it, start grabbing people, put them in cuffs, put them in adult timeout. Also, when we have guys on FTO, and I remember there was a case where it was a noise complaint. We go to this noise complaint. When you show up and you have a training car with you, everybody takes a step back. The trainee goes first. You make that guy go deal with the problem. He has to demonstrate that he can do this. We all just kind of stand back and make sure that that person is safe, that the trainee is safe while they deal with this guy. This particular call, the trainee was, he was an Asian immigrant. So from a culture that is like soft-spoken, he was small in stature. There's a very, very vast cultural difference here. The guy that he was confronting was, for lack of a better, he was a metalhead. He was a metalhead, and he was probably on acid. And this was in like 2011. The guy had giant speakers that you would take to a concert in his basement, and he had like acid metal playing, incredibly loud. Yeah, just leave him alone. I mean, you could hear it from blocks away. So it's like knock, knock, knock. Dude comes out. He's wearing a tie-dye shirt. He's got long hair, and he's flinging his hair all around. He had a knife in his pocket, just a clip knife, nothing major, but a clip knife. And the guy was speaking gibberish. I know the guy's, I could tell you the guy's name, but I'm not going to do that. But I remember it that well. Because I also dealt with the same guy. He was standing in line in an ATM years later, and he pissed on 3 girls that were standing in front of him. But anyway, this guy was so animated, and this trainee was standing there talking to him, and he's a little Asian guy. He's quiet, not very forceful, and this guy's hands are flying all over the place. And you could see all these senior officers like springs. We were ready to pounce on this guy because we wanted that freaking FTO, the trainee, to put his damn hands on that guy. Like, when you have a guy like that, you put your damn hands on him. You grab him. He's got a knife. You do not let him do that kind of stuff. Now that I've got some years on me, I can read situations a little bit better. I'm not expected to grab onto him and handcuff him and secure him. So your training evolves as you go throughout your career. That's kind of the thing I was getting at. So like the whole like by the book and by the numbers, we expect you to do that when you're newer because you don't have the experience to think. So you have to just act in accordance to your training. As you get older, you can think about it a little bit better. I think that's the
danger. I was gonna say that's the danger of losing all these senior cops.
Very much. But also I think that's the trap that Darby fell into. He went through some training, but he didn't have the experience to back up his training. His training taught him you don't get in the room with a suicidal person. He didn't know how, because there was already an officer in the room with a suicidal person. He didn't know how to rectify that situation. So he placed himself in the situation, and he thought he was solving the problem by shooting the guy in the face with a shotgun. With some years of experience, I don't think he would have made that same mistake. But by the book and by the numbers, it's right. That's why the department cleared him. So what were you saying?
Nixie is asking very nicely to move off the background, which I don't have a problem to do. I wanted to talk about Allie's comment here that said, I think he deserved the 25 years. And let me throw something out, because I thought about this a lot. I thought from the beginning when he got the 25 years, I thought it was excessive. Let's just say they go, they talk, they negotiate, guy blows his own brains out. He dies. Both the same result. Was anybody getting charged? No.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, was it shitty tactics and shitty police work? Yes. Do I think his intent that day was to go and murder someone? No. I just really can't stand behind 25 years for that. It's bad. I'm not saying that it's good or anything like that. And I get the whole idea cops should be held to a higher standard. I agree with that. But I think 25 years for what happened here, I think is ridiculous. Honestly, you hear the things about. I don't want to compare this exactly to like an accident where you kill somebody and you get charged for careless or reckless or even a DUI. A lot of times those folks don't go to jail. Now, obviously, that's more accidental in nature. But I mean, if it's reckless driving or if it's a DUI, there's some culpability there. They're not going to jail. I just, for him to sit for 25 years, I'm not good with that. I think that's too much.
My stance on it is, I mean, he screwed up. He screwed up really bad. He killed a man that didn't need to be killed. He put himself in a position to receive that 20 or 5 year sentence. If it's appropriate or not, I'm not going to make the call. Don't put yourself in that situation. Like
I agree.
It like, because it could happen to anybody. I don't know what's appropriate. I'm not the guy, but also I don't know how to tell that. I don't know how to tell what's the guy's name, Jeffrey's family, that because he's a police officer, we're going to give him 10. I don't have that answer.
But is there not? I don't think we're going to disagree on this, but is there no culpability on Mr. Parker?
No, I think there is, and I also think that there is there's an issue with. Look, he was trained that. It's a suicidal person is a homicidal person. Suicidal people harm cops all the time. The guy was armed with a deadly weapon. Those are all factors. And I totally agree. Like he was going in doing a portion of what he did was his job. He was placed in that position because it was his job to be put there. That has to be taken into account.
I agree.
But at the same time, I am not going to argue for a lower sentence. If they did it, that would have been good for him, I guess. But I can't. I don't know. I would have been if he was sentenced to 15 years. I'd have been like, okay, he was sentenced to 15 years. There's probably other cases that I would argue harder, and we're not going to get into those.
That's fair. I'm just kind of looking at it, and I get we're comparing apples to oranges and things like that. And I see the comment that Mr. Parker's family doesn't have him anymore. I'm just throwing out that he might not have been there anymore anyway if he killed himself, right? Maybe that's the wrong way to look at it. I don't know. I just, in my mind, compared to what I've seen, more egregious acts sentenced, I think 25 is a lot. We're not going to disagree. He killed a man that didn't need to be killed. There's no disagreement there at all. I would this kind of sounds messed up, but the going rate for unlawfully killing people, he got a lot, in my opinion.
It should have been manslaughter instead of murder, maybe.
Yeah. You know what? And
I was about to highlight that same one.
That is a great point, though, and that was one of the things that's always kind of pissed me off about this case, is that from his side, there's never been like, oh, we did anything wrong. And look, again, I'm not right about everything. Ben's not right about everything, most things. But we just spent an hour and a half saying this was really fucked up. And there's no remorse at all.
It was a 90-second video because we watched it 3 times, but that was what I believe one of the articles I read. I didn't read many because I wanted to just kind of have my own opinion. But one of the articles I read said that the reason he was given that sentence is because he did not show remorse. I saw a portion of his, like, he gave like a speech or something, whatever they call that, when he addressed the court before sentencing. And he didn't say he was sorry. He said, I think about him every day. I'm a human being. Dude, you gotta stand up and say, I handled this wrong. I haven't heard him say that. I haven't heard his wife say that.
The problem, though, is that people are telling him he handled it right. His department's telling him he's handling it right. Other police celebrities are telling him that he handled it right.
Well, they're all wrong. They're all idiots. They're not all idiots, but they're giving idiotic advice. It's very unfortunate.
Yeah, I mean, everything about this is messed up.
Yeah.
Everything about this whole thing is horrendous. I don't know if you wanted to cleanse the palate and do something a little lighter, which you didn't tell me about, or do we want to talk a little? It's up to you and maybe the people, but I don't know. There was a few things like about the appeal, because there's an appeal going right now where I'm a little dumbfounded about, to be honest.
You know more about it than I do.
Okay, so I don't know a ton, guys, so hang with me for a second. But part of the appeal is this. Well, let me start with this. I don't think this is part of the appeal, but one of the arguments I heard was apparently in the past, Mr. Parker had made some statements to a neighbor that he was going to harm cops or something along those lines, and they wanted those statements into court, and they weren't put in, and the Darby side seemed upset about that. To me, and again, I'm not a lawyer, and I know there's a lot of crazy exceptions, that it's clearly hearsay.
Yeah.
In my humble opinion. So that was a thing that came up. Now, is that in a perfect world? That's probably something we want to hear, right? Is this guy had said, made threats towards cops in the past? That's concerning, right, for this type of case. But I don't know. I think that's one of those things. That's kind of our legal system. Is that, to me, that was hearsay. I thought that immediately. I don't know if you have thoughts on that.
Where you worked, where I work, we call it a temp premise. If I go to a house and some guy is extremely belligerent, or I take him to jail and he's like, I'm going to bond out tomorrow and I'm going to come and I'm going to kill every police officer that I ever see. If y'all ever come to my house, I'm going to be shooting out of the upstairs window, all that kind of stuff. We can call into radio and we can put a temp premise on that house. So that way, anytime an officer is dispatched there, but when they're dispatched, the dispatcher will say, hey, also, just so you know, in December of 2022, John Smith was living at this address, said, if police ever come to this house, he's going to snipe them out of an upstairs window. If there was something like that on this guy's address, then that 100% should have been admitted to court. But stuff that happened, statements that are made after a guy was killed, and it's hearsay because there's so much that goes into it. I think even in this environment, generally people support police and they want to think that the police are doing the right thing. So when the police shoot somebody and you have some kind of relationship with that guy, a little bit about him, you're like, oh yeah, I'm sure the police did the right thing because he said that he was going to harm police someday, and he smoked a little bit of crack occasionally, and that's all after the fact. You're making a narrative that's supporting their actions. So yeah, I think it's unfortunate because him and his defense team were fighting for his life, and his wife is without a husband for the next. I mean, he's not going to do 25 years. He was sentenced to 25 years.
I don't know how it works in Alabama. I don't know if it's all mandatory or what.
Yeah, I don't know. Even with mandatories anymore, nothing's mandatory.
Yeah.
Generally speaking, you have. Yeah, but also, and I do want to address, I know that you snowed over it a few times, that, police are held to higher standards. It's all professionals that deal with the public are held to higher standards. And I think about it with like these teachers that are raping kids, and a lot of times it's like a female teacher. that was sleeping with like a 16-year-old boy, you know, and it always hits the news and it's like they got 20 years or whatever. It's because you hold a position of power, and I do think that some of those senses are warranted.
Have you ever seen the South Park episode that addresses that?
No. I'll have to watch it though.
Oh God, Kyle like reports his brother is getting raped essentially by a teacher. They're like, "What? You want us to give us a medal for like the luckiest boy in the world?" We're not going to get into the weeds with that. Real quick before we cleanse our palate, because it's been a little heavy. I did want to talk about the appeal a little bit. One of the things they're appealing, and again, I'm not a lawyer, so I don't know all the lawyer stuff, but that his right to a public trial was impeded by the pandemic because they were sat in a room and they were made to watch it in a room instead of in an open courtroom. And one of the things they said was there were points where they would cut out the feed. Okay. Mm-hmm. And I don't know the ins and outs of the trial. Maybe there was a time they did it inappropriately, but that is a very common thing in a trial. I've been on the stand testifying, and somebody will object to something, and they'll have their little conference. They'll turn up the noise so loud in the courtroom. They're 5 feet away from me. I have no idea what they're discussing. That is a normal part of court, so I'm kind of confused by that.
And I don't know if it's just that they didn't understand how everything worked either. That was an odd complaint.
But the lawyers should know that. That's and maybe there's more to it that I don't understand. I will give it that.
I'm here to tell you that a lot of defense attorneys are freaking idiots.
Yeah.
You know, that'd be a fun conversation to have with Saul if he's willing to have it. Some of his the people that he's had to deal with over the years, some of the other people, you know. Yeah. I have obviously some friends that are prosecutors, and some of the shit that they tell me is incredible. And I've also spoken to victims of domestic violence who the defense attorneys will contact them trying to get them to drop charges and stuff like that. No, some of them are freaking morons.
Oh, that's some shady shit right there.
It is. I wanted to address this comment. Said, I was concerned about watching this. I think I picked the wrong one. He said at one point that he would never call the police for someone in that condition. Oh, it is. Said, I've confirmed I will never call the police for someone in that condition. I don't know if Lenny's experience is much different, but I mentioned it earlier in the live stream. Multiple times a day do I go on this run. It's generally speaking not a big deal.
Well, not with the person with a gun.
Not necessarily a person with a gun, but
suicidal parties,
suicidal people. Yeah, all day long. Often they call on themselves. Often other people call for them. Probably 70-80% of the time, nothing needs to be done. They're depressed. And they want someone to talk to, or they're having a bad day and they're venting. The people that do need help, we try to get them some help. One thing that I find incredibly frustrating, and this is, I don't know, I'm reluctant to say it on the air, but when people are always sharing those suicide helpline numbers and stuff, I am incredibly frustrated with the services provided by those places because
they call us.
Yes, you had the same experience, and people are angry. You know, you're feeling down, and you make a call because you want to do the right thing. You don't want to harm yourself, but you're afraid that you're going to. So you call one of these helplines, and you're like, "Hey, I'm having a bad day. I'm a veteran. I have a house full of guns, and I'm afraid that I might do something to myself." You know what they do often is they hang up the phone and they call the police, and they send us out there. And next thing you know, you who were having a bad day just wanted someone to talk to. You've got police officers on your door trying to force you to go to the hospital. That is a betrayal, if you ask me. We don't necessarily need to be involved in that. You know, like, there are some people that can talk to you over the phone. And the sad thing is, if we take you to the hospital on an involuntary hold, they hold you for, a doctor can waive that involuntary hold. A lot of people don't realize that. It's up to 72 hours. They call it a 72-hour hold. A doctor can talk to you and 2 hours later can release you from the hospital. Often, especially in after post-COVID world, you get released from the hospital, get sent home with a a telemedicine plan where you call a counselor once a month. That's the sad part. Having the police come is not. I've had pretty positive experiences with people. And actually it's something I had a conversation today with a guy. It wasn't a suicidal person, but it was literally just a conversation where I just showed up. I said hi to a guy, asked him what was going on, and he just talked for like 45 minutes. He was not going to stop. The only way I got him to stop is I was like, dude, it's 9:30. I got my coffee at 8:30 and it's ice cold right now. I'd like to get back to it. And he was like, oh, I'm sorry. I'll let you go. Which, he said multiple times, you know, it's just nice that somebody was standing here and willing to listen to me. So we take those calls a lot. We're very proficient at it. And generally speaking, it's a positive outcome on both sides. So I don't want people to feel like that they can't call the police in those kind of situations. That's something that I take very seriously.
Yeah. I wanted to jump back into the appeal, but I want to talk about this real quick. I agree with it. It is frustrating. I also don't want people to get the wrong impression. Like, well, can't call the hotline because they're going to call the cops, and then it makes it worse. I mean, I think ultimately you have to do something. You have to make a call to somebody. I think this is where be a good friend, you know?
Yeah. He followed up with that comment where he's like, I'd rather talk to him myself, which that's the right thing to do.
Yeah. And the other thing I'll say too, and I heard this somewhere else, and I think it bears repeating, is I think generally we don't always know about somebody if they're having a hard time, but sometimes we can kind of get that inkling. I think phone calls save lives sometimes. Just to talk to somebody, it makes a huge difference. But I would urge, you know, even though we were talking about the problems with it and it could be better, you know, don't neglect something. I mean, if you got to make the call, you got to make the call. And you know, I think most of the time you're going to get help from the cops, even if it's not who you want to be at your door. Real quick, I'll get into Cindy's comment in a second, if you don't mind me finishing up on the appeal thing, because there's one more thing I wanted to say, but then I wanted to give as complete information as possible.
Go for it. I'm listening. There was a comment I'm trying to find so I don't forget it.
And it's not super complete, but so the first part of the appeal, as I understand it, was the issue with the Zoom going in and out. The second part of it was the jury instructions, and that basically the instructions given the jury didn't really talk about Graham v. Connor type stuff. I know that's not the exact wording. I don't know a lot about that, but that would be interesting to see how the appeal court looks at that. Because my understanding is basically they were given, you know, more towards like a civilians, which cops are civilians, but a more civilian, you know, self-defense type thing in the jury instructions, and not instructions more geared towards a cop. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. I think that's kind of covers a lot of that case. I don't want to miss anything, but I think we kind of covered a lot of the meat and potatoes of it.
Mm-hmm. You highlighted this question. Can I hit it?
Yeah, I'd like to too. Yeah.
Well, it's interesting because this is one of those programs that I think is overblown a lot. I feel strongly, and this is the reason that my body camera channel focuses a lot on mental health calls and officers helping or addressing mental health. Officers are very well, it's not just training, but they're very capable of dealing with people in mental distress. My agency has these teams that go around where there's a social worker paired up with a police officer, and they go on these calls when they're available. Usually there's only 3 teams available for the whole city. The city has about 1 million people. They're not available to go on very many of those calls. The calls that we typically, or at least that I typically will air for them, and not just ask them to come, but I will demand that they come, are the ones where I have a person who has a severe mental illness that I have taken to the hospital on several occasions, and the follow-up plan is not happening. That they don't have some kind of case manager that's watching over them. They need a higher level of service than what they're getting. Those are the situations where I will call that team and they will come out. I can also tell you that 99% of the time, the officer is the one that does all the talking, and the social worker is the one that stands behind the officer. They don't get involved unless they feel like they need to, and 99% of the time, they don't need to. It's very good to have them around because they have a separate computer. You know, our computers are on one system, their computers are on another system. If we're pulling up to 100 North 4th Street and John Smith lives there, they can look up John Smith, 100 North 4th Street. They can say, oh, he's got, he's linked through this agency. These are his clinical diagnoses. If we need to take him somewhere, we know exactly where to take him, and we'll follow up with his doctor and all that other kind of stuff. That is what those teams are good for. It's more of a way for these mental health agencies to use the police as a way to get out into the community. It's more of that kind of thing than it is for police saying, hey, we're not good at talking to people. We need someone else to hear. That's one of the major misconceptions of those programs from my experience.
In my experience, we had something similar. And I know it's gone through some changes since I left, but it was an officer and a clinician in a car, and they would respond to these mental health calls. And actually, in my department, at least in my experience, the clinicians got involved quite a bit. And you're right, they had the better resources, they had the better connections, they knew these people better, even through having the computer systems. I think it's a good thing. I've, not to get too into the weeds here, but we have a big problem in this country with mental health, and I think it's way too big for us to solve. But there's a lot of people that really need help, and they're not getting it. I don't know the answer. We used to institutionalize people, which I've talked about on my podcast before. Is that something we need to start doing? Who decides that? It's all kind of a scary thing, but I think people would be amazed that the number of mental health calls that cops go on and how uneventful they are most of the time. It's merely just talking to somebody, getting them to the hospital, getting to them a friend, get them referred somewhere, just listening for a little bit. We do that a lot. And it's a big part of the job now. And, cops will go to this call 1,000 times a day and nothing happens. I think this, kind of circle back to the original concern is, this is kind of a 1 in a million thing with Mr. Darby, and he called them there. But, I think a lot of times I think is to be good Americans, be good friends and neighbors is, we need to be checking up on each other.
Yeah. And
that's what I got to say about that.
One of the other things that I like to remind people of, it's really frustrating because there's like activists out there saying, oh, social workers should be going on calls instead of police officers. I've seen civilian review boards demanding that this kind of stuff happens. I don't think the general public has the slightest concept of how bad it is out there and how much we interact with people with mental illness. And one of the things that I like to remind people of is that a lot of the calls that we're sent on are actually mental health calls that are not labeled as such. A guy walking out in the middle of the street, you get there and it's some guy that's just batshit crazy. He's schizophrenic and he's been smoking crack and he's walking around in the middle of the street, waving his arms. I've had burglaries that it was a guy who is just out of his mind. Thefts. I had a guy I posted the video on YouTube. A guy that went into a tax service building and started taking the artwork off the walls. And he 100% believed that it belonged to him. It was a theft call, but it wasn't a theft call. It was a mental health call. I've had burglaries to vacant structures where somebody moved into a vacant house that was being remodeled. Kick in the door, and there's a guy sitting there yelling at you, why are you in my house? That's the majority of the mental health interactions that police officers have are those ones. And having an alternate dispatch system is not going to stop us from interacting with those people. And by the way, because we do it so often, we're very good at it. So I think that that's something that people need to be reminded of. They're just, I don't know. It really, really, really frustrates me because it's also a situation where it's people who don't know what we're doing, don't know what we're capable of, are telling us that we're not good at what we do. And it's just like, you guys aren't even here. So I don't know.
I thought of a weird analogy, and I hope it makes sense. But there's Spanish in school, and then there's Spanish on the street, right? Okay. There is crazy in school, and then there's crazy on the street. I think, if a clinician's not familiar, the mental health professionals, they're not actually on the street dealing with these folks in an uncontrolled environment. I think a lot of times they're really caught off guard on how dangerous it can be.
Well, and there's also people who don't realize, I don't know how it was where you work, but where I work, we had a mental health crisis center. We have an actual mental health hospital. We also have a school. It's an elementary school for kids with severe mental health issues. People have no idea how many times we're dispatched there because the clinicians on site can't handle the people. So who do they call when they can't handle these people? They call the police. And it's a lot of these really tragic incidents that have happened over the years. Like, it's like years ago, there was a guy, he might've had Down syndrome, that came out the door with a screwdriver and tried to stab a police officer, and everyone's freaking out because the police officer shot and killed him. It's an absolute tragedy. But the person who called the police in that situation was like his caretaker. They're forgetting that there was already these resources on site that were unable to fix the problem. And then unfortunately the police arrived and, stuff happens. But it was already out of control, and the professionals were there. And there's some people that, regardless of your training and experience, you can't control them. I'm really good at what I do. I think I'm really good at talking to people. I make people feel calm, make people feel safe around me. I'm very disarming. I can actually talk someone into being so relaxed I can walk up to them and grab them and start putting them in handcuffs before they realize what's going on. Like I feel very good about my, my skills in that world. But there's still people that I can't. There's people that still fight me, pull guns on me. It happens to everybody. So it's, I don't know. It's just very frustrating.
Are you ready to cleanse my palate?
I would love to cleanse your palate. Is everybody we still have 73 people. That's actually pretty good. Are you guys ready for a palate cleanser? I'm not going to do anything until you give me an answer in the chat. It's going to be awkward for a minute. I'm getting sleepy.
In the chat. They're busy.
There's a yes.
Hey, this is a great comment, by the way. It takes 2 for de-escalation.
He's had a few good comments in here. Some of them were moderate disagreements, but they were good comments, and they flew by before I had a chance. Oh, this one. I don't know where you get that statistic. I'm interested in where you got that. Because it's another one of those things. It's similar to our world, where people accuse us of this, that, and the other thing. It's like, well, you're only showing the bad incidents. Maybe that's it. That's my take on it. I'm only my perspective is formed by, I've gone and knocked on a door to some guy who was like, man, I was just depressed and I called this suicide helpline, and then they betrayed me by calling you guys. So that
yeah, but he could have calmed down too, right? Like he said some shit and he's like, ooh, I gotta change my story. Yeah. That could happen.
I'm just saying that my perspective is skewed in the same way a lot of people's perspective is about the police. Because like I see the comments on my videos all the time. They're like, oh, there's 1,000 videos out there of police officers violating people's rights. I'm like, well, actually, there's not as many videos as you think. It's just the same videos played over and over and over again. Or you're pulling up shit from like 2012 But regardless, you know what I mean? It's your perspective is skewed, and that's why you have that perspective. So anyway, this palate cleanser, this video is, I'm going to tell you, this video is only 5 minutes and 42 seconds. It feels like it's much longer, but
that's what she said. Sorry.
It's all about the motion in the ocean.
Yeah.
I hear that all the time. I think that means something.
I have that tattooed on my body somewhere.
What'd she say? I've never joined the live stream. I don't know what. Palette. Oh,
you know what? We should make
fine,
that
Allie.
a thing. We should make that a thing. Is if
have a weekly palette cleanser?
We do a heavy video. We do a palette cleanser at the end. We should
That's
make
fun.
that an event.
That'll be fun. I like doing that anyway. That's what we kindly do because we usually get a little bit tipsy and we play fun stuff.
I hate being sober, buddy. It's the worst.
I'll pretend I'm completely sober for you. So this is a situation where officers, it might sound intense, they're responding to a call where a woman called police and said that her father shot her. Officers are arriving on scene. They're met by the suspect outside and they begin ordering him towards them. I'm going to start playing it because it's...
Please come down the driveway to us. We can't come to you.
Go slow.
Just come slowly down the middle of the driveway.
If Pink Mosquito is still here, I got this from her.
Lethal, I'm so sorry. You're still going to be lethal. Hey, you still got cuffing. Hey, you still got my left lethal. Hey, just pick up a long cover right here with Gil.
So here what they're doing, they're putting a plan together. Like, who's got
It's
long
weird.
cover?
It's
Yeah,
weird
who's going to be... What do you say, it's weird?
It's weird after what we just watched.
Oh, it is. Because it's very organized.
Come on, Robert.
Well, it's a nice house. I like it.
Yeah. It's in, forget what county in Florida. They blurred out, or they muted out a whole bunch of weird things. I don't know why. But, you know, they were talking about, hey, who's going to put cuffs on them?
Robert.
Who's got long cover? Who's going to cover
Into
the
the
man
middle
when he
and
gets
come to
closer?
me.
He shot his daughter.
He doesn't want to go past the pot.
Hey, if he just stays right there,
You want to app him there?
nice and slow, we're going to move to app, okay?
Okay. He's going to fall off of that. Yep.
Is that a gun or a ball?
That is him
Okay.
Here's the suspect.
Let's go to him before he falls.
Stand by.
You should make it bigger.
All units.
That's what she said.
Turn all your radios down. Let Cooch have comms.
All units. We are moving to app.
Did you hear the coordination too? One guy's like, we need to go grab, and the other guy's like, no, we need to slow it down.
Yeah.
In my opinion, they're being overly safe, but it's fine. I'd rather be overly safe than not.
I don't like that they're all in one spot.
Yeah.
Okay.
But still, it's fine.
Come on, Robert. Keep coming. Where do you want him to, preferably right at the gate?
Man, if
Or bring him all the way out?
Bring him all the way out. If he wants to come all the way out, let's bring him all the way out. Can anybody see what's in the basket? It looks like
Just looks like a bag and then like a plastic.
Yeah.
It almost looks like
Narrating
a Tupperware
the
container.
camera.
The
And
big
themselves.
dog looks okay, but I don't trust him yet.
I don't trust that little dog in the backyard yet either.
Hey, I'm good. Just hold.
You're doing great, Robert. Keep coming, bud. Point of no return.
Yeah. So
I still don't even see the guy.
Yeah, he kind of disappeared behind the... Oh, no, he's right here. You see my cursor?
I can't.
Oh, you can't, because I made it too big.
That's what she said. I'll find it. I'll find him.
If you look between the
You got a what?
front of the cruiser and the push bumper, use that as a aiming sight, he's walking right there.
Okay.
is that asking if that's the back brace he's wearing?
Hey, is that a back brace you're wearing?
I don't know why they're muting out this certain items. Unless they're talking about the victim or something. It's a domestic violence situation because the father shot the daughter.
This looks like papers now in the box.
Yep.
We will as soon as you come to us, okay? I need you out of the yard. You're doing great though, okay? Keep coming.
That's what she said.
I never heard a girl say that.
Hey, when we move to app, don't forget to pick the house
This is
up.
like Mystery
Yeah,
Science
y'all have to
3000.
communicate.
That is the best show ever, man. I've been wanting to do a YouTube channel with Mystery Science Theater
Might not be able to
3000
go to the
police
ground, so it
videos.
might just be
That could be
It was
amazing.
ahead of its time.
Yeah, he's not going to go to the ground.
Yep, your call.
We'll just take him
Deal
around.
with either one.
Robert, I need you out in front of the car, okay? Just come out like towards this crack here in the front of the car. You're doing great, bud. Keep coming.
Don't forget there's a shed to the right with an open door.
Do you see him yet?
No, I don't fucking see the guy yet.
Right in front of the push bumper.
Oh, now
On
I
the
see
other
him.
side of the, yeah. He's
4 total to see it.
he's on a
Two the other
walker.
side.
Oh, man. All right, maybe they're
We'll
being
get
a
you a
little
water,
cautious.
Robert. Keep coming, bud.
Yeah.
Go to your right some. Go to your right some.
I'm good with him there if you're good with him there.
I like the tactical move they do in a second here because I watched this earlier tonight. It's like super tactical.
All right,
That
listen.
was good, though, right?
It was good, but I'm like, come on.
No,
guys.
don't fucking
Like,
hold
well,
on a
like,
second.
Hey, can somebody
We just
talk to me
shit
one
on
more set,
tactics for
please?
2 hours.
No,
that was fucking genius, man.
It was, but
so we can't shoot both of you. It's great.
But it's also it's like do it the same way every time. So they went and they're covering the house in case there's another shooter there, and then these guys are the arrest team. I get it, but
They did good.
come on, like they already knew because if you I read the description of the run earlier, they knew this was the call. What the fuck ever, come to Ohio. They knew this was
I know.
their suspect. You know what I mean? Like
Hold on. If they thought this dude was armed and then, they put their backs to him.
yeah, that was weird,
Dude,
right?
That's a little weird.
Because also they put themselves in a major crossfire situation.
Yeah.
You're good. Stay still, Robert.
Yeah, and they
But-
put 3 sets of cuffs on him.
Well, I think they have to.
Yeah.
I don't want to break Robert's arms.
Look at his skin. They're gonna peel the skin off his
I know.
arms. and
We're
his
gonna
cuffs.
help you walk, okay?
Okay.
I don't know why they have
Let's
this.
put him in body scarf
Oh,
for now.
that's a plainclothes guy.
Y'all, can y'all handle that, and I'll help with them.
Yeah.
All right, I'll form up.
But
with
did
y'all.
he
You got
actually
4.
shoot his daughter?
I believe so. That's all there is to the video.
No.
Yeah. Well, it was.
Disappointing.
It was
Tonight, it's
I thought
about
it
a
was funny.
reporter for
Oh,
the Wall
shit.
Street Journal who is
That's all the funny things I got. I thought it was hilarious because I'm just like, where is it? Behind the rabbit? No, it is the rabbit.
It's like, I don't know. It's like watching a tortoise
Yeah.
come out.
Well, and I'm like going through random ass videos now. I don't have anything. There was
Robert.
Oh shoot!
I need
Stop.
you to use your.
We should, you know what we should do next week, unless you got a plan? We should Mystery Science Theater 3000. You know what? No. When I come back drinking, when my first drinking episode, maybe in early February, we should just get some videos in Mystery Science Theater 3000 police videos. I think
We
that
could
would
do
be
that.
good.
I could probably
Yeah,
put
I know.
together some of my own videos, like make a whole highlight reel, and we could just go through them, like do 2 or 3 of the good ones. That'd be fun.
Yeah, I think that'd be hilarious. Let's plan on that. Oh,
That's funny.
ooh.
What?
No, never mind. I was thinking St. Patrick's Day. What day of the week is St. Patrick's? Because I was thinking I might go as far out as St. Patrick's Day before drinking, but that
I know
doesn't
you
sound like
said
very much
that.
fun.
I think that you should take Toby's advice and just do incremental changes.
Okay, well, so are we going to talk? Can we talk about my personal life? Does anybody care?
I think everybody cares.
Okay, everybody cares. So, hi, my name's Lenny. I'm an alcoholic. Just kidding.
I'll drink to that.
So I like some other cops. I have some trouble sleeping at night. I think it's a thing for a lot of us or former cops. My issues aren't always necessarily police related or anything like that. You know, it's just have trouble sleeping. So I started taking these sleeping pills, and they're expensive, and it was 30-day supply. It says not to drink with them. This is going to be my 4th night on them. The atomic changes.
Yes.
The Anyway, so I took it for the last 3 nights. Haven't fallen asleep. And last night, I thought I was going to die of a heart attack. So I don't know how great these calming pills are that are going to help me sleep. So I may just do the liquor. To sleep. But I am making changes. I ate vegetables today. Okay.
Wow.
That's a big step. I ate like 2 carrots.
Good for you, man.
Not the little carrots. Like the 12-foot carrots,
Yeah.
you know, the big ones. Yeah.
It's, I mean, you know, a combination of Toby's advice and Scotch's advice is what you need. Cut the sugar and make incremental changes, atomic changes. Toby, fucking Toby. Everybody hates you. You're like the worst person alive, man. It's like horrible. God, just leave. Sorry, I went on once I go there, I can't stop.
By the way, this guy said I drink NyQuil. I got to be honest. I love sleeping on NyQuil. I almost want to get sick so I can take NyQuil because that shit knocks me out.
You know, they make a version of NyQuil that doesn't have the cough syrup in it. It's just the sleepy stuff.
Really?
Yeah. Like, you're taking like a prescription sleeping aid?
No, it's like some like racket, like
no
burn fat thing, you know.
Nah, screw that. But no, just do atomic changes and cut sugar and you'll be all right. Only drink when you're recording podcasts and when you're doing live streams. Stop drinking beer. Just drink liquor. All of that, like those beers, dude, that's like 25 grams of carbs per beer. It's a lot.
Leave the bush lattes out of this, man.
No, you have to stop. Just drink liquor. How many carbs are in this?
40.
No, like 2.
Yeah. No, I don't know. I know it's 40 calories per shot or something like that.
But calories are not carbs. Beers have way more calories. And
They
I'm only
have,
having 3.
Don't tell me how to live my life, okay?
Cut the sweets, cut the beer, go to liquor, only 2 days a week. You'll see change. And go sweat your ass off. That was good advice.
Okay. Thanks for
That's what I do.
Sorry. I'm trying to change.
Can I tell you how I've been evolving on that topic?
I would love to hear that.
I was thinking about it today because I knew that we were going to hang out, and it is what it is. And I still get the comments on I got one on my Facebook today, which cracked me up, which is good because it means I'm getting a couple people from you, which I really appreciate. But it's still, when it comes to the military stuff, I get annoyed with the blanket thank you for your service type stuff, just because I know a lot of people that joined the military that didn't do shit and they were pieces of shit in the military, and they don't deserve to be thanked for their service because they didn't serve anybody. And also, Tom Sheets, you motherfucker.
Tom.
Thank you for your service at work and checking in on the live stream. I appreciate that a lot. You're a stud.
Holy cow, Tom. Thank you, man.
Yeah,
Seriously.
he's a good dude. We exchange emails occasionally. He's really nice. No, but like the military thing, the blanket military thank you for your service, it still bothers me to this day. And I will say this till the day that I die. I got more from my military service than you did. So don't thank me. Like it saved my life.
But the way we do it, and I'm not telling you you're wrong. I just want you to know it's like it's from a place of love.
When you guys do it, it's different.
Yeah.
But I'm talking about the regular citizens and it's awkward type thing. You know, when you guys do it, I actually kind of love it. It's funny. It's fun because it's endearing. But
that was the word I was looking for, but I couldn't remember.
You should have been drinking.
I'm missing it.
No, I'm sorry. I'm a bad influence.
I got some fine whiskey from Ohio even, man. I need to try.
Yeah, it's not bad. It's okay stuff. But when it comes to the police thing, I've been changing my stance a little bit. I was thinking about it, oddly, as I was getting out of my truck today, because I get it every day. I go to the same gas station. I get coffee every morning. And there's always people there. And it's always somebody different too. It's always at gas stations, but just some random person will be looking at me like, hey, thank you for what you do. And I'll be like, oh, you're welcome. You know, thanks a lot. I appreciate it. My stance on that has evolved. 5 years ago, when people said, thank you for your service, I was like, yeah, whatever. But in today's environment, it is so hard to be a police officer. And I'm preaching to the choir here. If I could leave, I would. And there's a lot of police officers that have left. There are not very many people applying for this job right now. It's an important job, and you are serving your community if you apply for this job and you do this job now. And I think that the general public sees that and has a real appreciation for it that they didn't have pre-2020. So now when people say thank you for your service, I'm a little bit more humble about it, because I see, and it's more of a thing where people were afraid for the last 2 years to show any kind of support for police, because if they did, they were ostracized, they were called racist, they were, all kinds of things. But now I think people are starting to say, look, we went through a bad period. It's almost like a way of like apologizing for what society has done to us for the last 2 years. So now when people say it, I do appreciate it. And I generally say, thank you. You're welcome. I always say you're welcome and thanks for saying that. So yeah, my stance on that has changed a little bit, but the whole general, just because you're in the military thing still pisses me off. It doesn't piss me off, but I don't think it's appropriate. I'm talking in circles now.
No, it's okay, Drunky. But I did want to say, I used to make memes, and I'll probably still make the memes about like how awkward it is when people come up to you in line and say, can I buy your coffee? Thanks for your service, stuff like that.
Hey, Allie, same.
And when I made those memes, and I'm just trying to make light of the awkwardness of it, but I don't want to say, you don't become a cop to hear that stuff, but it always was nice to hear that stuff. And so, Nikki, Ben thanks you. I thank you too. I was appreciative of it in real life, but like in the meme life, it's like, this is awkward. It makes, it's weird to accept that. But I would get some pushback from the comments, and it's like, these people are taking time out of their day to say thank you. Don't be a dick about it. And they're right. They're absolutely right. And I think that everything that happened, and I think that especially now, is people are just trying to be nice. And I think in this world that is so cold, to quote Mudvayne, is that, thanks for anybody that gets a reference, I think it's nice when people actually say something nice to another fellow human being, and we need to stop being so shitty to each other. So take the fucking compliment. Well, and it's different now than it used to be. And I've been around for a little while, so it was magical after 9/11. Like when I went places in uniform, it was incredible. Everyone wanted to give me high fives and, whatever. And then we went through like a different period where it became kind of hollow. That was my thinking on it. I didn't go through what the guys went through when they were coming home from Vietnam, but it was still very strange. Like I went to college after my military service, and the stuff that I had to listen to in school was insane. So like I got this like jaded sense about it. But for police work now, and it's kind of funny because I've fallen victim to my own way of thinking, or I've found myself saying things that I would have criticized other people for saying. When I talked about like Christmas, the guys that work Christmas, I had Christmas off this year. I had Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. I had New Year's Eve off. And when I said thank you to the guys that are working today to give me the opportunity to have the day off. Thank you for your service. Like, I really mean that. It's a big deal. So like, it's kind of changed my perspective on things. So that's all I want to say about that. Definitely.
I like the Santa thing.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned Christmas, and I'm not going to be able to do this very more. So.
No, I should have worn one of my Christmas shirts because my wife bought me like four Christmas shirts. That's not a very good filter. Wasn't there a better cat filter?
I don't know.
That's just your face.
Oh, is my face just up there now?
Yeah.
Awkward.
That's a cock.
Is it a big one?
Yeah. This is kind of funny, Connor. The one gas station I go to every day. For one thing, as a police officer, it's almost impossible to pay for coffee. There's very few places that will allow me to pay for coffee. Starbucks is one of them, which is kind of funny. But I go anywhere, whatever's closest to me, I'll get a coffee if I'm busy. But this one gas station I go to, they never let me pay for coffee. And it's also the one place where I have the most people offer to buy it for me. And I will walk up to the counter with them and I'll say, hey, this guy wants to buy my coffee. And they'll say, no, we're not going to let you, we're not going to charge you for that coffee. So it's kind of funny. But also, like, we're creatures of habit. I guess if you're offering to buy someone breakfast, they're already there buying breakfast. I don't buy breakfast ever. I always bring my breakfast to work. And I bring a lunch to work. I usually eat it. Occasionally I don't. And the taco stand that I always go to always charges me. So it's fine. But it's so good that I'm not going to. There's officers that won't go anywhere for lunch if they have to pay for it. We shouldn't talk about that right now. We should talk about that in another stream.
Yeah, I gotta save the content, man.
Yeah. I forget what I was listening to when that topic came up. What was it? I don't know. I'll think about it later. But I heard a really good analogy about Vietnam vets coming back being treated like shit and something that's happened. I think they were comparing it to police officers. That's what it was. Who was it that I was talking?
And I don't know if this is me, but I've said several times, like, the guys your age that went to Iraq and Afghanistan and then they came back and became cops, they got the double whammy, right?
Yeah.
Now, I don't think troops were treated as bad in the early 2000s as they were coming back from Vietnam.
No, not at all.
But there was not at all. But there was still like fuck the troop sentiment, which really fucking drove me nuts. And so I feel bad because, like, a lot of guys like you went out, you serve this country, and you come back and you continue to serve the country in another capacity, and you're still getting shafted, you know?
Yeah, well, not only, I mean, I'm not going to try to brag on myself too much, but it's like, it cracks me up, the amount of people that attack me and call me racist and a bigot and all these other things. They are so barking up the wrong tree, you know? Like, if you look on YouTube, there are hundreds of examples of what I'm like at work. And it's like, you guys are really coming after me, of all people. Like, I'm a combat veteran. I had a job as a stockbroker that I gave up for this job, and I'm pretty nice to people. And there's a lot of video evidence of me being nice to people that you can't possibly fake. And you're attacking me simply because of the job that I have, not because of anything about me, not because of the content of my character. Yeah, it's frustrating to the point that it's almost comical. But I don't know. It is what it is. I was thinking about this today earlier. I mentioned earlier that I got this bike and I go for 2-hour rides. One of the things that happens, and I was gonna try to record a video on the bike, but I was shirtless and it wasn't appropriate. I tried and I was like, no, I can't post this. But I was thinking about how bad I wanted to quit. About an hour in, I was like, I want to quit, and I'm only halfway there. I was like, don't quit, so it was inspirational. I wanted to record a video. I forget where I was going to go with it. I don't
cool
know,
story, bro.
Yeah, I just wasted that one. God, what was I talking about? I have these moments of clarity when I'm on the bike, and I can't. Now that I'm sitting here drinking, I can't remember what it was. Oh well,
That's
I'm
cool,
sure
man.
it was
Only
good.
63 people.
The good thing is there's not as many people watching now.
You know, I felt like we were at a really high point of this thing, and then I started stumbling over some words, and I'm like, God, the nice thing about podcasting is if I fuck up, I can take it out. There's a lot of pressure here. No,
this is fun though, because this is just real. We're just talking to people. I really enjoy this. This is like therapeutic for me. And I think people appreciate it too. And there's a lot of people like Win sitting here asking, and well, shit, the chat's moving too quick. He brought up a lot. he was a little bit more educated on a lot of the information today than I was, and we probably disagreed on a handful of calls, but it's cool. Like this is cool because I get to see like perspective of these people. They get to see us in our natural environment. See that we are just regular real people that just have a little bit of training that they don't have that they're interested in. So I like it. Tried drinking on the bike. No. I drank Gatorade on the bike. God, I had a really good point that I was going to make too.
Sounded great.
It did. It did.
Yeah. Well, you're talking about like moments of clarity, and I was like, like I always feel like in the shower, like everybody talks about shower thoughts, but like I'm in the shower and I'm like I'm gonna fucking take on the world. I got it. And then the moment the water shuts off, my brain stops working, and I'm like, what was I just thinking about? It's almost like a dream,
I don't have that thing in the shower. My showers are very fast, and I shave my head in the shower. Like I take a shower and shave my head in like less than 10 minutes. Is that fast?
That's what she said. I'm not gonna lie. I enjoy my shower time because I enjoy the hot water, man. Hot water, man. I'll just fucking sit in there sometimes if I can. I don't know. I like it. It's like fucking sitting in a sauna, man.
You know what ruined shower? This is gonna come off wrong. You know what ruined showers for me, Lenny?
You tell me.
Basic training ruined showers for me. We were allotted 30 seconds for a shower, and like especially with like the first week of basic training is they call it total control. So they are in total control of you 24/7. There's a drill sergeant within feet of you at all times.
That's where I was going, Cindy. By the way,
I knew that was coming. I was trying so hard to avoid the masturbation in the shower jokes, but no, like
I clean my drains out every so often, though, for sure. Yeah.
Anyway, basic training, total control, at least in the 90s. I don't know if they do this anymore because the military is different. But there's a drill sergeant literally 24/7. They were walking the aisles while we were asleep. All the time they were there. And when we took showers the first week, maybe 2 weeks, you had to strip down naked, leave your clothes on your bunk, grab your towel, wrap your towel around your waist, stand in line. And there was a drill sergeant there with a stopwatch. We had probably 50 guys in the bay, probably 6 showers. And it was like showers on both sides. We had 2 lines. And when you were on deck, it would like get in 30 seconds and then you're on deck. You would grab your shampoo, put some shampoo on your head, grab your soap, your dry bar of soap, and start like smearing it on your body. Get in the shower. They were like, go! And you got 30 seconds to get all the soap off your body and get out of the shower. That ruined me for showers for the rest of my life. Because now I don't like rush through the shower, but if it's more than like, if I'm not shaving my head, because I shave my head every other day, if I'm in the shower for more than like 6 minutes, I feel like I've been there an eternity. So basic training ruined showers for me. Yeah. And then like when I was in Iraq, we had we stayed in tents. Most of the places that I was at, we stayed in buildings a couple times, but we stayed in these tents and we had like a shower tent, kind of like in MASH, but there was, never mind. Have you seen the movie MASH?
I've seen the show. I don't think I've seen the movie.
The movie is like not as good as the show, but better in certain moments. There's a part where they like rig the tent to come up, the shower tent when the nurses are on there. But there's a shower tent, but there was always a line and the water was never hot and it was just a pain in the ass. In the palace that we were staying at, there was like a garage and like a stable down around the bend. I used to go down and there was just there was a nozzle, but there was no shower head on it. So it was just water that just came out and there was no hot water. It was just cold. So I took a cold shower basically under a hose for like a year. But I didn't have anybody watching me. So I just grabbed my shower shoes and my towel and walked down there and I could take my time. So I probably took 4-minute showers when I was down there in Iraq. Yeah.
I wanted Brent to answer why hot showers are bad for you, because that could explain a lot to me.
I'll tell you that I do try to take cool showers as often as possible, especially
Really?
after a workout. Yeah. It forces the blood back into your muscles.
Oh.
It helps recovery. Yeah, it helps you wake up a little bit.
I like the hot shower.
I'll take a hot shower in the morning, like pre-workout, because that's like my warm-up for my workout often. Or it'll help you help loosen up your joints and stuff so you can stretch. But then after the shower, or after the workout, I take a cold shower.
Huh. Damage. You know what? I have silky soft skin, motherfuckers. I think I'm good.
I don't care about my skin. My skin is okay.
Yeah, I think if as a dude, if you have some soft hands, you're probably not doing what you're supposed to be doing.
I have calluses.
I got a few from slapping the bass.
Is that what you call it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, slapping the bass.
All right.
Yeah.
Anyway, so you have a PT test on the 28th. What's your PT test for, Win? Are you currently an officer, or you're testing to be a police officer?
He wants to be a cop in Huntsville.
I think he's been in our streams before. He mentioned that last time.
What did I miss, Pink? I'm sorry.
We ignore most of the comments.
Yeah,
just so you know.
Especially Pink, though. Oh, here it is. End it with cool water. It helps close the pores. Okay. You know what? I'm going to here's the thing is you guys are telling me how to live my life, and I'm an asshole, even though I asked for advice. I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing because I'm a dumbass. So there's that. I've been once accused of being the biggest asshole in the nation. So I'm just going to take my warm showers, okay? Damage my skin and take the sleeping pills that are going to destroy my heart because I'm a man. Be a man. By the way, that guy is a national treasure. The Be a Man guy. God,
he's incredible. Everything he says isn't gold, but when he comes gold, it's gold.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
I do play the bass very poorly. Poorly made bass playing.
If we get him drunk enough, he'll play it.
There's a bass back behind me somewhere over there on that side.
He did it on a podcast. If you don't listen to his podcast, you're missing out.
You are missing out. Go listen to it.
You know, I don't want to get into podcast business, but the one that you guys recorded, the New Year's Eve one, I was consciously ignoring the chat for a period of time just because I needed a break. You know, I was like, I'm done recording videos. I can't, I stretch myself too thin sometimes. I can't do everything. I kind of wish I was there for that one. That was fun. I like it when we all get together. I enjoy it. I listened to that when I was on the bike the other day. That was fun. And the Minnesota guy, I listened to that one the other day. Dude, in the beginning when he was talking about like craft beer and home brewing and stuff, I was like, oh, this guy's gonna be a douche. I liked him a lot.
Yeah, he's a good kid.
He was like a really good dude.
Yeah.
Good perspective on things. So now I'm gonna have to get back to trying to listen to them all.
Yeah, dude, I just dropped one with a copper from Iowa, and then a big name for the podcast comes out on Sunday.
Really?
Deputy Hookham.
Oh yeah, you told me that you did that one.
Fantastic dude, man.
Does he do a lot of public speaking and stuff?
He must, because he fucking blew it. I can't wait for it to come out. That he just fucking blew it away, man.
Good.
Very good dude. Very good speaker.
You need to get Dexter Pitts.
We've been in communications.
Good. I've been
he
bugging
sent me
him.
a book. I don't know how to read. I'm going to try and get through it.
He's recording an audiobook right now.
I saw that. I liked it, and I was like,
I'm going to buy it. He gave me a signed copy. Did he give you a signed copy?
He did.
God, he is a national treasure. If you want to talk about, do you follow him on Instagram?
I just started to.
Did you see his stuff about him getting injured? Like his pictures from his injury?
No.
Yeah. He was blown up in Iraq. Here, I'm going to go to my Instagram right now and show people. Do you guys care? Even though I'm a little bit tipsy and I'm not.
We can do whatever we want. buddy. Don't worry about it.
We can.
This is his books right here.
We're in charge.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dexter Pitts is a amazing person. Let me see. I am Pitts. Give me one moment. Yeah, right here. I'm going to share this screen. Wait. All right. Share screen. Chrome tab. Instagram. Right
Wait
here.
for the Pornhub to come out. All right, there it is.
It's not going to happen. It's the best way to ruin your computer. Yeah, this was the Humvee he was in when he got injured in Iraq.
Wow.
Did he put... Oh, I don't want to hear his drunk. He's got pictures of his injuries. Like, I mean, he was in danger of losing his arm. He had multiple surgeries. Like, he's a good dude. He's been through a lot.
Yeah.
Fantastic guy. So, I told him, because he was asking me to be on his podcast. Do you know what I told him?
What?
I told him that I wouldn't go on his podcast until he was on yours.
Oh, come on.
I'm serious.
What are we, swingers?
Well, you're a good podcaster. You need and he's a good guest. Like he's good. And then I'll do his. He's busy right now though. He just got a new job.
Yeah, me and him are in communications. I'm talking to his people. He's talking to my people.
Good.
And I foresee him being a guest sometime soon.
That's awesome. Did I give him your number, or did he contact you through Instagram?
IG.
Okay, because I was gonna ask you if I could give him your number, but I don't think I got to it.
867-5309.
Everybody write that down. Do you want to put it in the chat?
867-5309.
867-53. Shit, I messed up. 5309.
Yeah.
All right, it's in the chat.
Okay.
So everybody has your number now.
You know, what's funny is I used to live in an area where that could have been a prefix, the 867. And fucking, I must have called it 100 times. Nobody answered. Fucking hope. What's the name of the chick in the song? Jenny, right?
Yeah.
I wanted to fucking talk to Jenny, but it never happened. So. Jenny.
Oops! God damn it! The chat moves fast sometimes.
I was
Nixie's on it tonight, by the way. Can I say that the viewer of the night is going to be Nixie? She's been on it.
Yeah. Good job. Yeah.
Anyway, we're done with that. So Forrest Gump was on the other night.
Oh, and it's just God, fucking Jenny. Seriously, dumb bitch. All that man ever wanted to do was love you.
Can I tell you? We were watching TV the other night, and they were talking about Barbara Walters dying. That was her, right? Is Barbara Walters?
Yeah, she was fucking old, man. She was on TV forever, man.
Yeah, and so they were playing like a little highlight reel, and there was a thing where it came up. Oh, she did a thing where she took a baby that had AIDS, and she held the baby and played with it, and she was like, "Look, people think that you can get AIDS from touching a baby," and it was back when everybody was terrified to be around anybody that had AIDS, which it was actually a really cool moment that she did. And my 10-year-old was like, "What is AIDS?" I mean, because
holy shit,
it's not the 90s anymore. The 90s AIDS was huge.
Yeah.
But now, I mean, she's 10. So.
Yeah. You know what? That's a good question from the cover officer. Who's worse, Jenny or Grandpa Joe from Charlie and the Chocolate Factory? Grandpa Joe is a lazy fucking bum, but I think it's got to be Jenny. For sure. I don't, but Jenny had a hard life, though.
She came around.
She did
Jen
come around.
redeemed
She had a hard
herself.
life, though. She had a hard life, so.
She made it hard for herself. Well, she had a hard childhood.
Yeah.
Anyway, so my daughter asked me what AIDS is. And I looked her straight in the eye. And I said, AIDS is what happens when you have sex with boys. And that was it. And I walked out of the room. She doesn't even know what sex is. But she knows it's bad.
Sure.
If she has sex, she's going to get AIDS. That's what she knows.
But are you sure? I am a firm believer that, because we hid from our parents what we knew, right? We might not have understood it all, but we had some ideas of some concepts when we were kids. I don't know. I fear my kids know more than I want them to know.
I think at 10 years old, I knew what. Am I going to get us age restricted?
I have a funny story about sex ed, but
well, like at 10 years old, okay, I knew what boobs were, and I knew that there was like a hairy patch down there because I had seen Playboy. That was the extent of my knowledge at 10 years old. It was the 90s, man. They still had women still had hair down there in the 90s, in the Playboys in the 90s. That was all I knew. I didn't know what happened. So
good day, mate. Shrimp on the barbie.
Hey, Paul.
Hey, Paul.
Good morning. Is it morning or is it like half afternoon?
I don't know. I'm trying to get an Australian guy on my podcast. So, all right, I guess we're talking about this. I remember being in sex ed, and they were. I don't know what I can say on YouTube.
I think at this point you can say anything you want because we showed a shooting video tonight.
Okay, so they were talking about the penis and the vagina, and that's how you make babies and stuff. And apparently, I missed the part about like the sperm, and I was under the impression for a long time that you peed.
Oh, yeah, I think I did. I think I thought that too.
Yeah, I thought that for probably 4th and 5th grade. So,
but now you know that it's a milk sneeze.
Yes.
Was that a YouTube video or did you just find the sound, the audio?
No, that's from a. It's South Park. It's from a South Park episode. Yeah.
Oh, see. Oh, well, he doesn't count. But was it on YouTube or was it just on your soundboard?
Soundboard on accident. I thought I was doing something else, and that's what happened, and it was magical. I really wish I could do the soundboard here, but I'd probably drive away people there too.
There is a way that I can.
In 7th grade, my friend told me that if you accidentally pee during sex, you'd kill the girl instantly.
Mike made it back to the stream. He showed up earlier and he left. He's like, "Oh, you guys are still going."
That's what she said.
Oh, I found the milk sneeze video.
Okay, should we watch
it? Yeah, this is totally not police related, guys. This is inappropriate, just so you know. Let me do this. This one. So I wasn't even on this podcast.
Okay, so it was Butter that played it, not or Butter said it, not Jimmy.
Yes. Oh God! And the vision that I have right now here, I'm going to share this again just because I have to. That's what I was looking at.
Dude, that is one of the funniest South Park's episodes when they're like the anime people.
Oh, is that one? Is that World of Warcraft?
And then they throw the samurai ninja star thing at Butters.
This says Butters gets urinated on by dogs.
Yeah. Oh, it's such a funny episode.
Yeah. Oh, I can't play too much South Park because we'll get copyright. Yeah, but the Make Love Not Warcraft, is that what it was? Make Love Not Warcraft. That's one of my favorite episodes. And then the Throwing Star one might be my all-time favorite. Episode.
Good one.
I don't know. I
need to catch up. I'm probably a couple seasons behind now. But I stopped Paramount so I can, if I ever find time in my life to watch TV, I'll try to do that.
It's on HBO Go too. You know what's funny is like if you go back it's been on for at least 20 years. I think it was on when I was in high school. When did it start? But either way,
I remember a Christmas when it first started, and that was playing in the background of the house I grew up in, and that was a long time ago.
But like if you go back and you watch like I don't know 5 seasons in, it's prophetic, like the stuff that they did.
Oh yeah.
Woof woof. What did I miss? Woof. Oh, is that what?
This is a dog. Yeah. Woof, woof.
Oh. Because he got a throwing star in his eye, and they didn't want to go to doctors, so they went to a veterinarian and told him he had to act like a dog.
You know, my favorite Butters thing is when he's like with Paris Hilton for some reason. He's like poking her, and it's all wet and gushy.
She's like, Nixie, adult timeout, please. Adult timeout is when you put someone in hand. You know what? Next stream, I'm going to tell my favorite adult timeout story. You have to show up and remind me, okay? Thank you for donating again, though.
Thank you.
Yeah, we've been going for almost 3 hours. I think we've devolved to stuff that we generally don't do. So I think it's time to call it a night.
I agree.
We're about half of our viewership. I appreciate everyone that stuck around. I hope you enjoyed the shenanigans towards the
Tell
end.
a friend. Tell people.
Yeah. Let people know that it's fun. And also the live stream replay should be up on the channel automatically. So if you guys could share it a little bit and just be like, hey, it's kind of fun. I have fun. And then also, as always, in the comment section of the replay, let us know how we did. Let us know how we could improve it or what you'd like to see next time. We'll kind of go from there. Honestly, for next week, I don't know what we're going to cover. We'll figure it out. One of the things we're going to cover is adult timeout
next week, because this was I feel like the last
they have been, but
you want to talk about quotas? That came up on my page the other day.
I saw that. I saw you made a meme about it today. That's not really been an issue for me. It's like,
well, if it's not an issue for you, then we better not talk about
whatever. Well, no, it's the thing. I tell people all the time, I'm not ashamed of it. I can sit in a parking lot all day long, not take a single run, not write a single ticket, and nobody will say shit to me. I can do that 5 days a week. So that's the world that I live in.
Thank you, Nikki. We see you.
Yeah. Sorry that you couldn't make it the whole time. Oh, we both clicked at the same time. Maybe you'll last longer next time. I don't know.
You're falling apart, man. I'm the one holding this together today.
Man, what a tragedy. I'm going to show you my screen. It's a screen that you already saw, but it's still cracking me up because every time I come back here, it keeps popping up. Where is it? The greatest collaboration of all time. Look at her rearview mirror. You can see her face and making the O face. She's like, oh. She's like, I'm not a stupid dumb bitch, man. Right here.
This is the lady that the cop just like walked up and told her, "Hey, don't play on your cell phone." She gave her shit.
Yeah,
yeah.
It's one of them.
That one's good.
Yeah, and she's like,
unauthorized use of a communication device, better known as texting.
Dude, that was a dick move. Like, you come up to the window, like with your ego. I've seen your videos.
That's fine.
She's seen his videos on my channel.
I've seen your videos. Like, oh, you have no idea what I was doing. You have no idea. Not like
I could see it was actually Facebook, man.
No, it was Instagram, but I just opened my phone.
She's like, no, let me incriminate myself.
Because I got a notification because I'm a volunteer. I understand that, but I'm an adult. I was in the military.
Hey, she needs to be thanked for her service.
She does.
There's your copy of the law, man.
Judge me like, oh, I'm some stupid, dumb teenage bitch or something.
Not a teenage, just a dumb bitch.
Who just is on their phone all the time.
See, this is what I'm saying. Mystery Science Theater 3000, some of these videos.
Oh, yeah, we can do that. Some of the ones on my channel can be pretty good. I need to find a couple of the classics. So, did you ever watch this one? It's a mashup I made with Sock Puppet Master.
I watched it when it was playing before we started.
Yeah, it's great because she takes my videos and makes cartoons out of them. So I've been wanting to do this for a while, where I put the actual body camera with her cartoon. So that's what this is. So I showed like a few seconds and then this. So this is what she turned her into, an angry squirrel.
Authorized use of a communication device, better known as texting.
Dude, that was a dick move. Like, you come up to the window.
So this officer, I was at the hospital one day on guard duty. This will be the last story of the night. I was at the hospital on guard duty one day, and I ran into him. Wonder if she's seen her video. Oh, I guarantee she has. The people in this neighborhood have a Facebook page dedicated to this officer. It's called Car 31, Where Are You? And they post every time that they see his cruiser. because they hate him so much, because he's written like 7,000 tickets in this neighborhood for texting while driving. He's written so many tickets that the media has actually run stories about him. But what was I saying? Oh, I had guard duty one day, and I had guard duty with him. We had never met before, and this was like a year and a half after I put his video out. And I was like, hey, by the way, I'm Ben, and I'm the one that puts your videos on YouTube. He's like, holy shit. So we got talking. Everyone thinks that he's just this guy that writes women for texting while driving. He's been around for a very long time. He's been involved in 2 officer-involved shootings. Here, I'm going to put our faces up. He's been involved in officer-involved shootings twice. One of them, dude had an AK. I don't remember the circumstances. It might have actually been a traffic stop where dude was like, no, you're not writing me a ticket, pulls out an AK, starts shooting at the officers. He shows up as a backup officer. Him and the other officer are hiding behind their cruiser, literally taking 7.62 rounds. And they're hiding behind cover because they're taking rounds, and they can't pop their head up because they're going to get shot. And he's a chain smoker. So he pulls this pack of cigarettes out, lights a cigarette, puts a cigarette in his mouth while rounds are being fired at them. And the guy next to him was like, did you seriously just fucking light a cigarette? And he's like, hey man, it might be my last chance. And then he got up and he shot the guy in the face. So it was cool. It was good getting to see like that side of him, because everyone thinks he's just kind of this bitch that sits and writes tickets all day long. He's definitely not. He's a good dude, good officer. So that's my thing about him. Was that a good story?
A great story.
It was a good story. I heard someone else telling that story the other day, and I was like, hey, I heard it from him. So anyway, I thought this was a good stream. It was a good stream first back from our Christmas break that was kind of just happened, right?
Yeah.
It was needed though.
It was. I needed a break. I was actually during my shower thoughts today, I was like, fuck man. I gotta fucking work.
Tonight? That was your thoughts? You're like, God damn it. I gotta hang out with Ben tonight. This fucking sucks.
Well, okay, so hear me out. And this will be my last story of the night probably, because we keep dragging this on.
Yeah.
But I was talking, like, because people are kind of amazed. I go see family on the holidays like everybody else. And, before it used to be like, oh, so, what's going on in the street? And I'm like, I don't want to fucking talk to you guys about this. And now it's like, so what do you do to make money? And it's weird to kind of explain, what my life is now. And, something I thought about while I was talking to everybody, I was like, God, this used to be a lot funner when it was a hobby. I'm not saying this wasn't fun. This was fun. But I think just it's like a human thing when stuff gets attached to being work, it like psychologically changes it, if that makes any sense.
No, it does. And like because I'm running 2 channels and then we do the live stream. I put out a video this week just by luck. If I didn't have comments on that one video, I wouldn't have put anything on this channel. The things that I want to put out, they take too much work and I don't have the time or the energy. It just seems like pain coming down the basement to work. This live stream is not one of those things at all. Like, I look forward to this. If I could turn this channel into like, this is the only thing that we do, I probably would. I think I still have to put out videos to keep the channel going. But this thing is like my favorite thing to do. This, and I think the main videos on the channel are going to be reacting to comments. I think that's going to be fun. This video that I put out yesterday, I think it was, with this, I don't know if you saw it. It's like a prostitute that ran from a vacant garage, and I got confronted by a couple people that were like, the officer had no right to detain her, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to blast them. It's going to be fun. That's going to be like the kind of content we do, that and then live streams. So,
yeah. No. And I didn't want it to make it seem like I don't like doing this. I do like
No, but also it's
like honestly, this is the
work.
easiest thing I do. But
Yeah.
because I don't have to edit, I don't have to do whatever. It's nice to just kind of sit down, relax, and talk. Usually,
well, on the
beer.
podcast, you got to coordinate all these different schedules, and you got to talk to your sponsors, and it's the way you make your living, but it is work. You know, it's same with me, and the body camera channel is really turning into work for me. But occasionally, like, I still get a good number of videos that I'm like, man, I'm so proud that I could put this out. So I have to keep doing it. You know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
By the way, Pink, you do not want to know what my shower thoughts are most of the time. Just saying.
They usually involve me in an American flag.
I am proud to be an American. That's all I can say.
Very patriotic.
Yeah. Thank
Nixie,
you.
Put the credit card away. Like, I appreciate you so much, but like, you should buy yourself a coffee with that money. We don't deserve it. We don't deserve it at all.
You don't sell yourself short.
Oh, whatever. Pink's like, oh, but I do. You guys can hit each other up in the DMs later. We don't need to do that here. Anyway, I think this is a good time.
Yep, it was a good time. Thank you guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much. For the 60 of you that are still here, fantastic. Thanks for everyone that donated. This was kind of a big night for us. Might have been because we had a break. But can I say what you spent your money on from last month?
Oh, the water heater.
Yeah. You guys paid for a water heater repair for Lenny. Because the way that we split this, last month it was almost exactly the right amount that it paid for his hot water heater. So we do
now
use
I can take hot showers and have shower thoughts.
That's right, because before he had to take cold showers and he couldn't think in the shower.
No.
Connor, thank you very much.
Nice.
Your what was being nice?
My skin.
Oh, skin. It was probably really good for your skin. No, but like the money that you guys donate, it gets used for the right things. So we really do truly appreciate it. Thanks for everyone that came and asked questions and participates. It helps this thing go along, because if you guys didn't ask these questions, it would just be us talking and it probably wouldn't be any fun. So thanks again. I'm going to hit end right now. Talk to you guys later.